are we are live. What is up, everyone? OJ over here from PlayerEssence. I have the celebrity here with me. I have RetroDeath, the celebrity, here with me. Guys, this is really cool that I'm able to do this because not a lot, especially after the Rerez debate, not a lot of people want to talk to me in these type of debates because they saw what happened with Rerez, 100,000 subscribers, and his own fans were like, like, I don't think his own fans are a little upset. So after that Rerez debate, nobody really wants to talk anymore, which was completely civil. But I'm glad that that RetroDeath was able to accept, and I appreciate that. I want to make a public apology for calling you Retro Bitch. It was a bad it was a bad joke. It was a bad joke. So I want to make a public apology for that. But yeah, man, I'm glad to have you here. Just to kind of go over what we're going to be discussing. There's been a lot of uproar, especially after E3, about Nintendo's third-party support, about even some of the Japanese developers like Capcom and things like that. And there's been a lot of people that have been pretty vocal in the community against me and calling me out and saying certain things to me and I got called a sellout from someone who doesn't even know what the word sellout means. So there's all sorts of stuff. People, I watched the video for 40 minutes and didn't make one coherent point. So there's just a lot of stuff going on, going on in the community. So I thought it'd be a good time to discuss with someone that kind of shares the same views as everyone who's been complaining on that side, and also bring in my views as far as what I'm looking at it from. So RetroDeath, I'm glad to have you here. I'm really thankful that you took the time out of your, I think, early morning to to join me.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, I'm always open to talk, and so many people, they take all the shit so serious. So we man, it's been years since we've commenting back and forth. So when you suggested an actual debate, I was like, I love talking about video games. Why not just take the time to calmly, seriously explain both sides? Because some people think there's only one answer, but there's never just one answer when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
There's absolutely middle ground, and I think that's the biggest thing that's going to come out of this. You don't have to be on one side or the other. There's definitely a middle ground. So to start off, what we're going to be discussing, there's not going to be a moderator because then I'd have to tell the moderator like exactly everything that's happened, and it would just be easier for me and RetroDeath since we've been talking so much back and forth. So that's the reason why I don't have a moderator. That's the reason why Sean Long isn't doing it, is because there's just too much of stuff that me and RetroDeath have talked back and forth. So it would be best if RetroDeath can bring up things when he needs to bring up things, and I'll bring up stuff when I bring up stuff. So with that being said, RetroDeath, I think it was about a week or so ago, you made a video saying, I think it was like the essence of damage control. And yeah. It wasn't all about me, which I watched the whole video. But at one point you said, oh, well, OJ, I love you, but you're damage controlling for this. So exactly what point was I damage controlling in anything that you saw that I said? Like what did I do or what did I say that could be seen as damage control as you put out?
I think the main thing, I guess it wasn't what taste using you in the thumbnail and the title of the video, considering I just used the debate we had about ports back then to fuel the discussion. Others started about third-party games, but we were talking about the amount of ports and that kind of stuff, and I guess I clumsily made it seem like I was attacking you with that video, even though I really just used you as a starting point for the video I wanted to make. The main thing really was just talking about the situation with the third-party support. So it was not like I was actually. The thing that it was is I used what was it exactly? I didn't expect you to start with that video. It was basically when we were talking about ports. And then you said something, I think it was about the Monster Hunter thing. That's the main thing it was about. That's what I used. Monster Hunter came up. And you used to say about the ports that the ports didn't take up any time of development and resources and that kind of stuff. And that's what I used to segue into the third-party debate. So I used our talk with the ports for the third party. And then I started going into the Monster Hunter thing as an example. Okay. About how
do you still feel that ports take up a lot of time and resources?
I'm like I said, yes, and I feel at some ports. For example, I'll continue the Monster Hunter thing because that's what I started with. Let's take Monster Hunter.
Okay.
You have Monster Hunter Double Cross, which now is no longer actually how people assumed it was no longer coming to the West. They're thinking about it. But in my head, you had Monster Hunter Double Cross. And then E3 happened. And that's when I made the other video. Because when E3 came, Monster Hunter World got announced. And then I was like, okay, but now you can claim that Monster Hunter Double Cross doesn't take resources. But now you have the Monster Hunter team working on Double Cross for the Switch, and at the same time Monster Hunter World for everything else except the Switch. And Monster Hunter World for me is the next Monster Hunter. It started as 5. They made it the new Monster Hunter.
When was Monster Hunter World? When did that start development?
I have no idea when it started development, but that is my thing.
You have no idea when it started development, but you're saying it's not on the Switch. Is that possibly cross your mind that maybe you should research a little bit about when the game started development? Because the game started development in 2013 before the Switch was even a thing, before there was a final dev kit for the Switch to even have anything for them to develop on. So
that would segue into another point I have, what you always bring up with the dev kit. So I'll address the dev kit thing later. My point is just that now you have Monster Hunter World. And the thing is, even if it is coming to the Switch, even if it still takes a year, E3 is about the future. They didn't announce it. So for now, we are going to assume the fact that they didn't announce it for the Switch. And we have Double Cross coming to the Switch. So now when I say it takes up resources, we have Double Cross.
So E3 is a trade show, but E3 is a trade show for what audience? Do you see a ton of Japanese developers? Do Japanese developers have their own trade show to go to that's pretty big? What's that called?
But I know what you're talking about.
That's called TGS. So why does everything as far as Japanese developers need to be announced at E3? Actually, to be honest, a lot of Japanese games
the point
not announced at E3. Well, I'm just saying, but that doesn't make sense. You're saying, oh, well, E3 came and they didn't announce it, so obviously we have to just assume that there's nothing coming because E3.
Now, once again, you're going besides the point. We did see Monster Hunter. It was announced. We have seen Double Cross. It was announced. There was no Switch logo anywhere. So what we're assuming is that it is not there. And then you have the Monster Hunter team, like I was saying. It's working on Double Cross. It's working on World. But you only have so many teams to work on so many games. And as of now, they said it is not there. It is not coming.
Okay. But that's right now. That doesn't mean it's going to change. And not only that, but if you follow up on the news, the same guy who tipped off Monster Hunter World coming to the PS4, Xbox One, and PC says that the Monster Hunter teams are stretched really thin, but they've already started development on a new Monster Hunter game for the Nintendo Switch. And he's the same guy who got Monster Hunter World right and nailed all the details with the game. Yes, there's only a certain amount of teams, but at the same time, Call of Duty has 3 teams making Call of Duty every single year. Multiple developers, like Monster Hunter is so big, they've made so much money. Capcom has that bandwidth to have multiple teams being able to work on things. Double Cross is pretty much done at this point. I don't think there's much more that you have to do.
From E3 is the fact that they can have all these teams, they can have all the games. Maybe it is coming. We don't know. It's speculation and rumor at this point, and we're talking about the facts. The facts are at E3, nothing was announced. That's what it's about.
And that's fine, because that's one announcement of a game that's built for the Western audience, is it not?
Yeah. Yes,
it's built for the Western audience, so it was announced at E3. Potentially at TGS, potentially at another game show or another thing that's more geared towards Japanese audiences. There could easily be that using Monster Hunter World to kind of deflect. They'll say, "Oh, well, look, there's nothing. Here's are the facts." That's ridiculous.
But that's not the only thing.
That's the game built for the Western audience. So
that's why I address it to you. That's why you came up in the video. I use that only as a segue to start the third party. I'm not saying that is the only thing or that is nothing else. That was the starting point. Trust me, the fact that there was nothing for the Switch at E3.
Okay, and nothing as in like not enough, more like it for your own taste.
So that's the thing, because you always bring up some points that I never disagree. I always agree with that. Like there is support. We have Japanese support. We have Fate. I'm looking forward to that. That looks so amazing. And you know me, I always loved Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors. I love it more than the standard series. I love the Warrior series. So we have Fate. We have Square is there. But
Japanese developers, like I already stated back in January.
But that is my thing. It is not that all developers are there from everything that we have seen. There are still companies like Capcom that gave us Street Fighter that aren't giving us more. There is still like Konami that isn't even giving us a soccer game. There is the fact that there are some Japanese developers there. Doesn't mean all the Japanese developers are also there. You cannot use the argument to say there's no Western developers when there are some, and then use that same argument to say that there are all Japanese support.
I'm not saying that the Switch is going to get everything. I've never said that the Switch is going to get everything from every single developer, because no system, probably outside of, I think the only system would be the PS4 that would get everything from every single developer. Square Enix isn't really making games for Xbox One. They have some big games that are coming, right? They have Final Fantasy, they have Kingdom Hearts, those games are coming, but stuff like Lost Sphere, stuff like Dragon Quest isn't coming to Xbox One, and no reasons given, maybe outside of the Xbox One isn't selling, as much in Japan. But those games aren't coming to there, but they're coming to the Nintendo.
It's not coming to the Xbox.
Yeah, but it's coming to it's coming to Nintendo Switch. So there's always reasons for certain games coming to certain systems. Like I said, outside of PlayStation 4, pretty much that's the only system that gets everything. Whereas with the Nintendo Switch, it's not going to get everything. It's still a new system, and developers are still figuring out and looking at what they're going to do with it. Like I've said before many times, games are not made. They're not made with magic. You can't just sit there and announce everything. They're not made with magic.
Something I wanted to address. You keep saying that, and yes, you say, but we're talking about the bottom of the barrel, most basic of standard third-party support. And when I say that, I mean shit like Assassin's Creed and games like Need for Speed and Call of Duty. Standard games that have been, like you say, they've been in development, for years. So let's say they've been in development for 5 years. And then they start creating those games. Then they get the dev kits, which you will keep bringing up, which was like about a year ago. But the dev kits, they're not. Then
let me ask you a question.
Dev kit and start creating a game.
Let me ask you a question. Is gaming a business, or is it just out there for you to have fun? Which one is it? Do companies treat this as a business, or for games for you for your own enjoyment? Which one do they think they look at it at first? I mean, some companies.
That's a double-edged sword, because I'm going to say both to that.
Okay.
A lot of companies Nintendo is creating games.
But Nintendo has a lot of games for you this year. These third-party companies, this is a business for them. EA rehashes everything every single year. Call of Duty has 3 teams making Call of Duty games on there and paying them millions of dollars. This is a multi-million-dollar, even billion-dollar business. I think for Activision, this is a business. It's run like clockwork. You have to look at what has happened in order for a business to be supported. There has to be money. You're saying, oh, well, no Assassin's Creed. Well, Assassin's Creed came out on Wii U to Nintendo fans, and it didn't sell. So why would you expect this? Why would you expect Call of Duty? Why would you expect Assassin's Creed? And why would you expect Need for Speed when all of those games combined sold less than 1 million units on the Wii U? Nintendo went out there and got you this beloved third-party support that everyone says everyone needs. And then when it happened, nobody bought those games. Assassin's Creed 3 ran in 16,
because I want to focus on this.
16 frames per second. And you're out here telling me that, oh, we need to have Assassin's Creed. You want them to rush another Assassin's Creed and it sell 350,000 copies, and then Ubisoft fixes it and they bring Assassin's Creed 4 to the Nintendo Wii U, and that sells less than the crappier version of the game because people are pissed from 16 frames per second and having a slideshow on their last game.
Exactly, but this is the thing, okay? You say this, and then you say, okay, it was a shitty port. I agree. People didn't buy it. Obviously, they didn't buy it because it's a shitty port. But then the third-party developers shouldn't wait to see until there's an install base. Instead of doing that,
why wouldn't they?
They should not make shitty ports. Of course, people aren't going to buy shitty
Assassin's
ports.
Creed 4, is that a shitty port?
I haven't played 4. I couldn't say.
I can tell you that it's not. How about Need for Speed? How about Need for Speed Most Wanted on the Wii U? How about Need for Speed Most Wanted on the? Is that a crappy port? You said where's it?
Yes, okay, but let me talk. Okay, you said Resident Evil earlier. Revelations was also not a shitty port.
No, it wasn't.
You say that it did, yeah, okay. You say it didn't sell. It sold 0.20 million on the Wii U. But dude, the Wii U had like what, 10 million at that point. The PS3 had over 80 million. It sold 0.7 on there. It didn't sell on there either. That is not the fact that
it sold more than 0.
It just, this game sold shittily in general. Same with Watch Dogs. Same with Mass Effect. You complained that they barely sold on the
Wii U.
So many sell on the other system. You have to, okay, you have Watch Dogs.
Assassin's Creed sold on the other systems.
Dude, but you have Watch Dogs.
Need for Speed sold on the other systems.
Yeah, but not as much as you keep
sold on the other
saying.
systems. Batman sold on the other systems. Call of Duty sold on the other systems.
Things like the Wii U did that. These games didn't sell, and they sold on everything else. No, but that list you showed, that's a half and half thing. Not all those games on that list they do what you said. You have Watch Dogs and Mass Effect. These games like Watch Dogs will do like 0.13 million on the Wii.
This is where I'm going to say that you're damage controlling. This is what I'm going to say that you're damage controlling, because you're sitting.
I'm explaining to you how it's not damage control, but you don't want to listen. You keep talking through me.
Tekken Tag Tournament 2. That didn't sell you.
Watch Dogs, Wii U, 0.30 million. I'm not damage controlling. I said it sold shitty. Nobody bought it. It was poorly done. But the PS3 and the 360 combined had 180 million install base. The game sold like 3 million on that combined. How is it damage control? The game just sold shit in general. That's not the Wii U.
So what you're trying to tell me is that third-party developers might want a bigger install base in order to make sure that their games have the higher chances of selling, because the more that someone has a system, the more...
That is your argument for the Switch.
Well,
that's why they're not bringing them now.
Obviously, the argument for third-party developers, would it not be? Because, yeah, we can have a game maybe not sell that much, but we have a ton of people that could potentially buy the game. So maybe it's more financially feasible for people to have a big install base before we put our game out there. Because if we put our game out there on an install base of, I don't know, 1 million units, probably not going to sell that much. Maybe we should wait a little bit.
With that. Mr. T just uploaded the video. It was such a good video. I know you're not going to like it. He uploaded a video. He explained this. If you have an install base, or if everybody waits, all the third parties, they're waiting for the install base, okay? Let's say at one point, like in next year, end of next year, the Switch has sold 20 million. I swear it could do that. Okay, then you have 20 million. Then people start developing. First of all, it's going to take then years or a year or whatever for them to finally get the game on there. But these people will then give the third-party games to the Switch to people who play Mario games. You need a certain percentage of third-party games now, because else later people will still not buy it because you still have the wrong audience.
Willing to take that chance with Nintendo fans after this. I don't care if some of the ports were crappy or not. Well, some of them weren't. Third-party developers are not willing to take that chance, because third-party developers, from who I've spoke to, this isn't people making salty videos crying from their room. Okay, this is me going to E3 3 years in a row and talking to third-party developers. Plain and simple, this is what they think, and I'm telling you point blank, Nintendo fans don't buy our games. We have issues with some of our games with PS4, Xbox One, and PlayStation fans, and they buy them. Nintendo fans aren't buying our games, so why are we going to put our games out when there is a litany of first-party games that are coming out on the Switch, coming out on Nintendo systems usually? Why? Why would we do that? They got the opportunity. Nobody bought them. People need to stop thinking that Nintendo fans and Sony and Microsoft fans are equal in the eyes of third-party developers. You know what my mom told me when I was growing up? Life isn't fair, okay? And that's not fair for them to think that, but that's just the way it is, okay? We're not equal in their eyes, okay? So stop trying to say, oh, well, if other companies get it, Microsoft and so, no, we're not equal. They don't think of us that way. They think of us as, these guys don't buy our games. And that's just a fact, bro.
So you're saying they want the install base?
Some of them want an install base. Some of them don't give a damn and never will. But yes, a lot of them want an install base, so they have a higher percentage to sell their games.
Explain to me then why we have to fight, for example, for the port, the thing about Dragon Ball Fighter Z, okay, for the Switch, which is, like you said, it's an obvious system. Why isn't it coming? Nintendo has had, since the Super Nintendo, since the NES, Dragon Ball games, fighting games, always. So it's not coming to the Switch,
Wii U, but not on the Wii U. Yeah, they skipped the Wii U, but
I guess. But they started early. It is not coming to the Switch, but it is coming to the Xbox in Japan.
And I'll tell you that. Here's my reasoning why we didn't have to beg for Xenoverse 2. We just got it, right? In my opinion, Bandai Namco, they sell snake oil at times. I personally feel it was a marketing ploy. I think this game was going to come after Xenoverse 2. We didn't have to beg for Xenoverse 2. They just wanted to put it out there. Okay, I personally feel that it was a marketing ploy by Bandai Namco, because now when they announce it, everyone's going to be like, oh, and they're going to go out there and pre-order the game and do all that. But that's just my opinion. I don't have any way to prove
that
it.
Is like that is, you could say that about anything. That you know what this is? This is damage control. That is like saying
no, it's not. It's completely not. We didn't have to beg for Xenoverse 2. We got Xenoverse. Xenoverse isn't even out.
No, you're saying like okay. Now you're saying it's like, okay, the game was coming anyway. It doesn't matter. We didn't have to back. It was coming.
I said that I feel that they were going to eventually port it anyway, because it uses Unreal Engine 4, and because we got an article from the Epic Japan. Okay, so the person who's the head of Epic Japan said that 20 Unreal Engine 4 games from Japan alone confirmed are coming. He couldn't name them, but there's 20. Japan doesn't have the indie type of developers that America has.
So what 20 games supporting the Switch and we get Street Fighter? That doesn't mean anything.
What 20 games are coming from Japanese developers that use Unreal Engine 4? They don't have indie developers in Japan that use Unreal Engine 4 like America and Europe. So what 20 games would that be? unless
But
they
it's
conjure
not like
up
it's-
magically. Okay,
It's
I'm just
not
putting
like
two and
all
two together.
It's not like all the Unreal Engine games developed in Japan amount up to 20. You know, I didn't think we were gonna get this Dragon Ball. It's obvious.
I can't even name 20 games. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm thinking the game was going to come anyway. That's why I'm thinking it was going to come anyway. That's just my personal
But that is
belief.
another thing then, like what I said. Why isn't that said at E3? What does it matter? People buy
Why does-
Dragon Ball. It doesn't
why
matter
does
that
it-
Xenoverse 2 is coming, that they wouldn't announce this. That makes
It doesn't
absolutely no
matter.
sense.
So they announce like 5 Dragon Ball games and say buy them all. Like, what if it's not even in development yet? Maybe that's the reason why they didn't want to say it. What if, because she said that, okay, well, if we do it, it's going to be after the other versions. You know what that means? Maybe because the PS4, Xbox One, and PC have been out before the Nintendo
But you do
Switch.
realize,
And the Nintendo Switch is a new system, so they don't always
realize
develop things in
Xenoverse-
tandem.
but you do realize Xenoverse is coming out soon, and this game is not coming out like in the next 2 months. It's not done yet. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
if you
not done
have
yet.
like a couple of months or a year apart, obviously that would still sell. That
So
doesn't
why
change the
announce
fact.
it if they haven't even finished the versions that they started on years ago? So why announce the Switch version when they haven't even started on it? Please tell
You
me.
know what
Tell me a
makes
good
it such a
reason.
dumb argument? That everybody almost, when they buy Pokemon, it's a stupid comparison. When they buy Pokemon or Fire Emblem, people buy all versions. Fire Emblem had 3 fucking versions.
You
on the
just
same
asked them
day.
to announce the game, announce a version of the game that's not even in development, bro. That's what you just asked. They should. You said they should announce it when it's not even in development. They should announce the game. It's not even done on PS4 and Xbox One, and you're saying that they should announce it on Switch for your own satisfaction, even though it might not come at the same time.
We have seen the game already. We have seen the trailer. It is in development. I don't know why you're saying this.
It's in
It's not like
development for
Metroid
PS4.
4 or Pokemon. Like they
When do
just
you think
started.
they
that
started
they announced
development?
it.
You didn't know when they started Monster Hunter's development. So when did they start development for this game? Do you even know?
I'm not a journalist. Of course I don't know.
Of course you don't know, but you sure do talk. You don't know. But you
Dude,
sure
we're talking still about Dragon Ball Fighter Z. We saw the trailer. We saw the gameplay. It is there. How you think they just like CGI the trailer together? It's not a CGI trailer. It's a gameplay trailer.
It's been in development for a while. It's not been in development for a day or 2 days. If there's not a Switch version in development, why announce it?
Dude, but no, you're twist. That's what I mean. You're twisting it. The same argument I'm using into your own favor. This makes no sense what you're doing now. That is what I am saying.
But you're RetroDeath. What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is that you and many others, you guys like to live in the exact moment. If something's not announced right then and there, you bring up something, you say, where's this at? Where's that at? And you think it actually affects anything. When developers, especially from what I'm seeing in Japan, they just need a little bit of time. That's all they need. They just need a little bit of time. Nintendo got dev kits
Everybody
out
needs
pretty-
time. E3,
pretty
you
late.
say I live in the present, but I keep saying E3 is about the future. They announced games for 2018 and later, and there were no Switch logos anyway. It's not about.
And
if-
I
if they
agree
know
with you
it's
that there
coming,
wasn't a
they
lot
should
of
say
Switch
it.
games. I agree with you, but to me, I think it's a bit irresponsible. You can plan to have a game in development, but if it's not in development, don't go to E3 and announce all this crap. Wait
But
till you
the
know
thing
it's
is-
in development. Finish the versions that you're going to do, and then make a quality port. Don't do what Wii U did. Okay,
No, but
Don't do
now
what Wii
that-
U
this
did
is the
and
whole
release a
issue.
bunch of trash on your.
This is the issue. We shouldn't get a port. It's a multiplat. It should come on everything at the same time. That is the idea. That's behind it. We
Switch came
should
out years after the Switch came out years after PS4, Xbox One, and PC. If they started development before Switch was even a thing, there's nothing they can do. They're not going to mid-development where it's coming out 2018 say, okay, let's stop what we're doing, guys. Let's get the team together and let's get a Switch version out. Why would they do that?
They've had no, but that's what I'm saying. They've had dev kits for they have been out for a while already. They could have started it if they had the idea of putting it over. It would have been announced.
Or they can just
People
finish
have
the
said
versions,
that
or they can just finish the versions that they're working on and then do a quality port afterwards, since the Switch isn't the exact same thing as PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and you're still figuring out how to develop on the system. Maybe, or they can do that because what you're saying that they should be doing is doing exactly what the Wii U did. Hey guys, okay, look, let's just get a port out there. Let's just get it out there, and let's hope it sells. And they did that. Tekken, Need for Speed.
I'm not saying that at all. Not even closely. I'm saying it is not coming to the Switch. They didn't announce it. They didn't need to rush it. But there's nothing. They didn't even announce it. I don't care if it takes 5 years.
It's not done in development. So why announce it if it's not even done on the current systems that you were working on it for years? There's no reason to announce it. Announce it when it's ready to be announced. Like kind of like how Bethesda does with Fallout. You know, they they waited instead of announcing it 3 years early or something like that, and then people are waiting for it. How about you just announce it when it's ready? They announced that at E3 2015. It came out E3 2015.
Yeah, but now you're going into all kinds of different politics about when games should be announced. Dude, Final Fantasy 15 was literally announced like what?
Yeah, and they're stupid for doing that, are they not? They got a lot of crap for doing that.
I don't think this game is going to take 10 years.
I'm just saying they were dumb for doing that. They announced Kingdom Hearts 3, and then we're still waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3. We're still waiting. Final Fantasy 7 Versus. They announced Final Fantasy 7 Versus 2 years ago, and then they just said, "Okay, guys, we're just shifting over to internal development." Good, right? No, people are like, "No, you guys suck for doing that." Nobody thought that was a good idea to announce a game. Like, that's the problem. You're sitting there telling them to announce it now, or you're sitting there and saying, "Oh, well, they should announce it because it's E3," even though they have TGS that they could easily announce it at.
Because now we focus a lot on Dragon Ball, but it is part of the bigger picture that I've been saying that at E3 we got nothing. People claim the Switch is not the Wii U. Okay, they say the Switch is getting all the support that the Wii U didn't get, even though the Wii U had some shit in the beginning. Like I said, half of those ports were not as shitty as you say.
I don't know who's saying that. Who's saying that the Switch is going to get everything that the Wii U didn't get? I want to know.
I didn't say it's getting everything. I'm not saying you are getting everything, but they said in the beginning.
Who of significance? Not some idiot in the comment section.
Nintendo acknowledges the fact that people said that the Wii U didn't get everything it should have, so that's why they announced all these partners. And what I'm saying with that is, with this comes standard multiplayer shit, the stuff that is easy to port on everything. The games, like I've been saying, like Call of Duty, like FIFA, like and don't give me FIFA. We're not getting a current day FIFA. Everybody's getting FIFA, and we're getting that Lost Engine shit. But everything. It doesn't get basic shit, dude. It's basic.
This information. Hold up, time out. The engine that FIFA is built on, it's a custom engine. It's not a last gen engine. It's a custom.
Yes, exactly. It's a custom engine. We're not getting FIFA. We're getting a custom FIFA. We're not getting the actual thing.
You want the same feed as everyone else gets?
That's the thing. That's what a multiplayer is. That's what you do.
Okay, but is the Switch the exact same? Is the Switch the exact same as the
Nothing
PS4 and Xbox One?
Same, but the game.
The PS4 and Xbox One and PC are very similar. But the PS4 and Xbox One and PC are very similar. The Switch is a mobile unit with an ARM CPU that you can take out. Playing games mobile is not the same as playing a game on your TV.
Now you're talking about another thing again. That doesn't matter. The Switch is a console you can take on the go. That is not part of this. We're talking about the availability of third party here. And now you're once again changing it into a different subject because you think it will go easier for you. We're going to stick on this third party shit, do it. We're going to stick on this third party shit a bit longer. We had the dude from I think it was EA, the dude from Need for Speed. He said we can easily, he said, put it on the Switch, but we're just not gonna. That is the reasoning. That makes no sense.
And it does make sense because Need for Speed Most Wanted sold less than 300K on the Wii U. The Wii U got a great version of Need for Speed, and nobody bought. That's the reason why. If Need for Speed on the Wii U sells, I don't know, 2 million units, you think he's gonna say, "Oh yeah, it's not coming to Switch"? You think if all these games, let's just say all these games sold 4 million copies. Let's just stare. You think we'd have this issue that we're having right now? If you don't think that there is a link between crappy Wii U sales and what's going on with third-party developers and them waiting, I have a damn pot of gold to sell you. Please, just give me your credit card information and trust me, you'll get it.
Of course, you'll get it, bro. But that is what I'm saying. You're damage controlling. That's saying it's okay that this happens. It is okay to you.
See, you don't know how what damage controlling is, bro. I'm telling you facts. This is
that's what I'm saying. I gave you facts with Wii U. Half those games you were mentioning, they sold poorly all over the place.
Crappy sales. This isn't damage control. When I say crappy sales lead to no support, PS Vita is the same thing. Crappy sales leads to no support. This isn't like me damage controlling for them. That's not damage control. I can look at a game and say, Need for Speed didn't sell on the Wii U. Probably not going to get the second one.
And then we go back.
Very easily can say that. Like there's
I
other
agree to that. I said it earlier, but then we go back into the circle again.
Tell me how
get the vicious circle where they didn't buy our games earlier, even though nobody did. Doesn't matter if it was just a shitty ports or all the games in general. They didn't sell. Okay, some of them didn't sell everywhere. Some of them did. So then they say, okay, we're not making it now for the Switch. We're gonna wait. And then you get the thing again that I brought up with Mr. T's video that everybody's waiting. Nintendo's growing a Nintendo fan base with let's put the Japanese shit in there. Okay, you have the Nintendo fan base with like the JRPG shit. Okay, and then Call of Duty comes, and of course nobody's gonna buy it because the fan base that is established doesn't care. You need to start that now.
Why would you say that
early on?
Well, wait a minute. Why would you say that? Why would they not care? Why?
Because it's not coming. Nobody announced it. That's the point.
If the install base at this point, so if Call of Duty comes this year, and let's say it sells like crap, okay, they take a hit, right? They made a version that takes a hit, and then the next year it comes out. What if it sells like crap again? Because what you're saying is the same thing they did with Wii U. You're repeating the same thing that happened with you. They released Call of Duty. Okay, we'll release one for the fan base. Okay, it came out. It didn't sell. Okay, then the next Call of Duty comes out. Okay, it came out. It still didn't sell. Assassin's Creed, same thing. It came out, didn't sell. The next year they released it, came out, didn't sell. So what you're trying to say is that third-party developers, no matter what, just need to completely keep force-feeding their games, even if they don't sell, just keep force-feeding them in there. Even with small install bases, just do. Is that what you're saying? I would say, please do not ever go into business when it comes to video games and stuff like that. Don't ever go into business, because no business person, and that's why none of these third-party developers, when it comes to the big ones, are doing this. Are you trying to tell me that the fans out here that are crying and complaining that they're not getting Call of Duty, even though Call of Duty sold less than 500,000 units on the Wii U, you're trying to tell me that they have more business sense than these dudes who make billions of dollars off of Call of Duty? I'm not trying to say that they're super
okay, now you're using smart, this.
But okay, I mean, come on now, man. We had 2 Batman games, nobody bought them. 2 Call of Duty games, nobody bought them. We have all these games, nobody, even Monster Hunter tried.
Which we already talked about, that you said most of these were shitty ports. Of course, nobody is buying shitty ports.
Call of Duty wasn't a shitty port. Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I have Call of Duty Black Ops 2. You know the reason why I waited to buy it at $8? Because I don't like these type of games. And I think I can speak, maybe not for every Nintendo fan, but I can speak for a lot of Nintendo fans where they just say, you know what, these games just aren't that appealing to me. So maybe that's the reason why they're not.
And what I'm saying is that yes, third parties should take a risk. And you know why? Because now we're going back to what you said earlier. You said the Switch is not the same. It is different. It is a handheld. You can keep laughing. I'm going to keep talking.
Okay, go ahead, man.
We have a ton, seriously, when the Switch was revealed, it was the greatest idea, and it is a great idea. And a ton of PC gamers that never wanted to go to Nintendo before said, this is great. I can play all my PC games now on the Switch because I can take it on the go. This is a great incentive for me to get a Switch.
I don't think PC
But these are facts. People have said this everywhere. This is a thing. And we're not getting these games to entice these people. So we're not getting the broader install base. We're sticking with
but Wii U got all these games that you're saying that entice the install base, but Nintendo Switch is blown.
No.
You got all these games.
No, dude, stop talking. That is not what we said. We're using the fact that you said that the Switch is a different console. It is a handheld. People can take their PC games on the go with the Switch. That is an incentive. So yes, third parties should take a risk, and Bethesda is doing this. Ubisoft is doing this with some games, half of them. They are going there because
Nintendo's publishing Skyrim, Nintendo's. So it's a calculated risk, but Nintendo.
Yes, exactly. And that is what I'm saying. Risk. And some companies should take it into account. It is a calculated risk, but it is a new thing, and it is already working. You keep saying it. Skyrim is a great idea. The Switch is selling out everywhere. Okay. These facts are already here. Okay. So when you have these companies now that can say, oh, okay, we have the dev kits now, the shit is starting to roll. We could make these games. What does it take for the dude, for example, for Need for Speed to say at E3, you know what? The Switch is so-called easy to port to. Snake Pass took like a week. So the dude of EA, what does it cost for him to say, okay, we can run this risk. You can take the shit on the go. That is what the Switch is.
He's not a publisher. He's not the one who makes the calls. Like, that's not how business works, RetroDeath. See, you're speaking from a fan's ideology, and that's the problem that I see with a lot of fans out there. They speak from, oh, well, I'm a Switch fan. Well, what does it take for them just to announce something? That's not how it works.
No. I'm not talking. I told you I'm talking from a PC gamer's perspective. I'm not using myself here at all.
A PC gamer's perspective?
Yes, the PC gamers in the beginning. That's an example. That's sad.
Most of the people right now that are buying Switch are Nintendo fans that are excited for the first party lineup.
That is the whole point of this debate.
They're excited for the first party lineup. They're not excited for a bunch of PC games over that they have that can be played on their 4K PCs to come over to the Switch so they can play them in 720p. I don't think any PC gamers are excited about that.
And then I need to do research. That is what I'm saying. These gamers are there. There's been tons of PC gamers that I know that are online that are saying this, that are saying we want to be able to play Dark Souls on the go, Skyrim on the go, Rocket League on the go. You've been praising Rocket League for this exact thing. You can't use the same argument for and against me here.
That's not the reason why. That's not the reason why the majority of people are buying Switch. Majority of people are buying Switch because you can play the best first-party games. Because Zelda launches with the system. Most of the people, the stuff like the third-party
using my point again for your own. That doesn't work. That's what I'm saying. There are no games for other people to buy. That is the issue.
Of course, nobody's buying it. But it's still selling. So
yes,
then why
of course
is it selling? You have
dude, come on. It launched with Breath of the Wild. What the fuck are you doing? It launched with Breath of the Wild.
And it's still selling after the Breath of the Wild. When Mario Kart came out, it's selling. It's going to keep on selling.
Yes.
Mario's come out, it's
Yes.
going to sell. It's going to
Yes.
sell throughout the rest of the year because of the first-party games.
But yes, exactly. And that is my point. And then once third parties are like, okay, there's an install base of 10 million, let's put Call of Duty on there or whatever thing that works well. And then there is an install base for that game because everybody's fucking playing Mario because nobody
and that's what I said, and I got eviscerated for me saying that, well, we're going to need a little bit more of an install base before we get some announcements. I got eviscerated. Everyone says, no, you can't do that. They need to announce the games now, and I need to get them now, and I need to get everything now. And everyone got mad at me because I said, no, third-party developers. Everyone got mad at me because I said third-party developers are waiting for an install base. And everyone said, no, they shouldn't be doing that. They should just be releasing games because I'm a gamer, and I want my games down, and I don't care if the Wii U didn't sell. I don't care if Wii U games didn't sell. These companies make games for me and my favorite piece of plastic because I'm a consumer. That's basically what everyone has thrown at me. Even though I said that's stupid business logic. You guys don't work in video games.
Don't lump me in with those guys. You know, I own everything. I don't need. Listen, I don't need third parties to come to the Switch. I have a PC. I'm building an even better PC. I don't need this. The thing is, there was no third party at the end of the Switch. That was the problem. That's why people said, okay, it's gonna come now. Nintendo said that's why you had that stupid little sheet they made that kept growing bigger with every day and shit. That's why it's coming. They know they need third party, but it's not coming. And nobody's here. And all the Nintendo fans are buying the Switch now. And everybody from the exterior is not getting what they want because there is no actual third party support. You can twist this all you want, but the bottom line is
you're twisting it. You're saying everyone's not getting what they want, but yet it's selling. You're telling everyone's not getting what they want. We're not getting what we want, but the system is selling. The games are selling. I think most people want
but not
first-party games. Yes, I would love to have third-party support. I would love to have third-party support.
You remember what you
that would be great, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. And after looking at these Wii U sales, there's nothing that you can do to justify. You can bring up Mizati's video all he wants to. That's fine. Bring up his video. But I can tell you from talking to developers, they probably don't agree with that shit, dude. And I can tell you that they're looking at this. They're looking at these games. Scribblenauts, under 500K. Monster Hunter Tri, under $1 million. That's ridiculous. It should be more than that. Sniper.
You have to take into account the million that is still on an install base on 10 million.
Tekken Tag 2, complete with full online play that ran smooth. Heck, it ran better than Smash Brothers at launch with Nintendo exclusive content. Less than 200,000 copies sold. So, and then people say, well, where's Tekken 7? Why is Bandai going to give us Tekken 7? Why?
You're using Monster Hunter again now. Like it had like less than 1 million, and back then the install base was still like 10 million. It was shitty, yeah.
Look, bro. I'm going over just like there's so many games here. You can't damage control every single game that doesn't sell. Come on, man. There's like 30 games here.
That was still like the Monster Hunter to the Wii. That was an attach rate of 1 to 10. You know. Then the percentage, and you still have like what you have now with Xbox One, the best selling Xbox One game. Does like it beats that only by a little bit. You have to take into account. You can't just say, oh, it only sold 1 million, so it didn't sell. No, it sold 1 million on an install base of 10 million. That's pretty good still.
And that's exactly what I've been saying. Third-party developers want an install base. Super Metal Dave and everyone you guys have all been forming up a pack. Okay, making salts.
I don't
forming up your pack. Y'all been forming up your super pack of crazy Nintendo fans that demanded third-party support, and third-party developers are flipping you the bird and saying, I see PS4 and Xbox One, and you guys are confused and don't know why. And I am telling you guys why it is happening.
We do not want
as damage controlling. I am telling you why this is happening. This isn't me saying my own opinion, I am telling you why this is happening. I told you this back in January. If you look at my video, I have 2 videos explaining third-party support. I told you this was going to happen back in January. You know why I told you this? Because I knew, based on the Wii U sales, that third-party developers, from me talking to them, and based on that they were going to wait, and they were definitely not going to bring over 16 frames per second Assassin's Creed to the Nintendo Switch when they don't have enough time to port over a quality title. I told you guys this, and people get mad at me.
I know. I saw that video. No, I saw that video. You said this, but that's what I'm saying with you damage controlling it, because you're excusing it. You're not saying it is not.
I am telling you this is how it is based on what they're thinking. This isn't damage control, bro. This is from their mouth what they're thinking and what's happening right now. I don't give a damn if it's, oh, you guys think that, oh, well, you're excusing it. That's my personal
that's
opinion.
what I said. Now you
Part
talk
of it.
about
I am telling you what is happening. And yes, this is happening because of crappy Wii U sales. You want to turn things around? You want to make sure this thing turns around? You better buy FIFA. You better buy NBA 2K, and you better buy Skyrim. If those
that
games
is the dumbest shit
you better
ever.
buy those.
Buying one game in the hope you get another game, that makes no sense no matter how you turn it. I'm not going to buy a game I don't want in the hope to get a game I might like. This makes no sense.
Remember what I told you my mom told me? Remember what I told you?
These rules that you're attaching to this.
Life isn't fair, RetroDeath. Okay, they don't see us as
what is that in the debate? What kind of argument is that?
I'm telling you what they're thinking. That's the thing. If you can't accept that they're thinking that, then you can make
life isn't fair is your argument.
No, I'm telling you that this is what they're thinking. How they're treating us is not fair. No, it's not fair. My personal opinion. You want me to say
it makes no sense because you're giving here these facts that do not apply to all shit. When you had the Xbox, that's what I said with the Xbox One X.
No, it doesn't apply to Xbox.
These rules didn't apply to that.
No,
these games are still coming in Japan. Dude, the Xbox is selling like 100 fucking units a week.
You know why these rules don't apply to Xbox? Because Xbox does a better job as far as with the 360 of selling their console, okay? And the games sell more. So that's why it doesn't. If all these games,
Xbox is only selling now because they've been backtracking for a year. Dude, come on.
It doesn't matter. Stop damage controlling for them. Stop making excuses for the Xbox selling, or it's only selling because of this. It doesn't matter. The point is
that's exactly what you're doing for the Switch. How can't
I'm not doing that for the Switch?
And you're doing that for what is that?
Look, bro. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you that these games did not sell on Nintendo's platform. So therefore, that's the reason why we're not getting these. They want a bigger install base.
On the Xbox, yet it is still coming there too.
Because Xbox historically the games
not historically for the Wii U. You cannot use one argument for another. That's what they keep saying.
The Xbox 360, the Xbox One. If you look at the third-party sales of those games, those sell more. Those sell more. Need for Speed on Xbox 360 sold more.
Dude, come on. The best-selling Xbox games are barely selling. They don't even scrape.
What do you mean by that?
Dude, the install base of Mario Kart 8, for example, on the Wii U, that went through the roof. And even, like I said, Monster Hunter, 1 million compared to 10 million.
What's the best-selling game on Xbox One? Okay, you want to talk about what's the best-selling game on Xbox One?
There was some kind of third-party shooter.
Call of Duty Black Ops 3. What's the next best-selling game on Xbox One?
No. Don't go to the next. Tell me how much it sold.
7.3 million.
Yes.
Now, how many third-party games on Wii U?
That is the best selling that they have.
Okay, and
the system is not selling. You said the system is not selling, but they're putting shit on there. But you're saying the Switch is not selling, but that is why the system's not selling.
I said that the system has a big install base right now. It has over 30 million. It has an install base, and it's exactly the same to develop for.
It didn't have that in the beginning. Do you know how long it took them to get that? The first year of the PS4 and the
games, even at the beginning, they sold 1 million in 24 hours. But even at the beginning,
So
here's the thing. When games launch on PS4 and Xbox One, the third-party games naturally do better. Assassin's Creed sold 1 million units. Assassin's Creed 4 sold 1 million units in 2013 on the PS4. And it didn't have an install base, but it still sold 1 million in 2013. And then it sold another 1 million in 2014. Well, what about Assassin's Creed on Wii U? Did it sell 1 million in 2013? No. Did it sell 1 million in 2014? No. So you're sitting here saying, "Oh, well, they don't need to have an install base." But even with small install bases,
the games early already. Assassin's Creed 3, for example, that
third-party developers would not be making games like this for PS4 and Xbox One at launch if they didn't feel it was going to sell. They make their games, and those games end up selling. They end up selling. All the launch games.
Dude, take any Japanese game on the Xbox One, they don't sell. You will see Dragon. Nobody's gonna buy that. Nobody's buying it in Japan.
I agree with you. Japanese games generally, that's why it's not getting some games.
But they're still coming on it. That is my point.
Because the PS4 and Xbox One are nearly identical to develop on, and those systems have been out longer. I mean, it's a common knowledge that that's the reason why Xbox gets this stuff. Not because they deserve it. They get it because it's exactly to develop for. It's the very same x86 architecture. It's the same damn thing as the damn PS4.
So now you're saying
made a system. hold up. If Nintendo made a system that was exactly the same as PS4, I mean, exactly the same to develop for, they might get some more because it might take no effort. But the Switch is not exactly the same. Yes, it's easier to port, but it's not exactly the same. It still takes some time. And even after you port it over, you still need optimizations to make sure it runs efficiently and fluently, or you're going to end up with
now we're going back to the beginning again. That is what I've said. They've had dev kits for over a year. They could have been making the games. They've been claiming the Switch is so easy to port to,
and
it's
it
so
goes
easy.
back to install base. There needs to be an install base before you sit here. You're not
but that's what I said. The Xbox didn't have an install base. Nothing had an install base in the beginning. You can't keep going in circles with the same arguments.
You're not the reason why you're not understanding is because for some reason you feel that
why am I not understanding? You're not back to the same.
You're not understanding because I already told you that Xbox gets this support because generally the third-party developers see that their games sell more.
And I told you already, Japanese do not sell Xbox. That is dumb reasoning to have.
And how much Xbox and at
you cannot all of a sudden now.
And at launch, how much support did Xbox get from Japanese developers? How much support did Xbox get from Japanese developers at the launch of the system? How many Japanese games did we see?
No, that's what I'm saying. Now you're lumping everything together. When it comes to the Switch, you're saying there's Western and there's Japanese. But now with the Xbox, it's all one pot. That is an easy answer to give, but that doesn't work like that.
You brought up the Xbox, bro. I'm telling you that Xbox didn't get any support at the beginning as far as when it launched. Now that there's an install base, Japanese developers, it's easy development from the PS4, what they're going to bring. So they're just going to put it out on there.
No, now
not all Japanese developers, not Square Enix.
Now it is not going to sound. That was your point in the beginning.
But it's the... You're not understanding because the development is the exact same.
Why am I not understanding?
You're not understanding because you don't understand that developers are putting stuff on Xbox. They put stuff on Xbox, even if they feel that it's not going to do that well, whatever the case is because it's the exact same as PS4. It's the exact,
in this world you are living in, what you are saying is people will only release games on systems that are already there. If everybody thinks like that, you don't get any games, especially on something like Xbox. It doesn't even have first-party games. The PS4 launched with no first-party games to sell. It had like Resogun and Knack and shit. Nobody gave a shit. So nobody waited for an install base there.
Because you're branching off into Japanese, and then there's also Western. So what are you? I mean, because Western support. Xbox supports Western, right? So is this only a Japanese thing? Because I'm telling you that historically, from what we've seen, is that third-party games have sold better when it comes to the third-party games that everyone's complaining about. For the most part, people are complaining about no Assassin's Creed. People are complaining about no Need for Speed. People are complaining about no Batman or whatever, no Call of Duty. So all these games that have historically sold better on Xbox, and so that's the reason why developers just support it. And they also put it on the last generation system. So they have a fallback plan. Well, if something doesn't do that great, well, we have it on there because they know that Xbox, at least in their minds, that they're thinking that this is going to sell because of the Xbox crowd. And you just said something very interesting. You said that, oh, well, they have no first-party games. Well, that's part of the reason why third-party developers love Microsoft and Sony, because their games get more play, and often their games are actually better than Microsoft and Sony's games. So
I definitely wouldn't lump Sony. Sony has incredibly well-selling first-party games. They have really good franchises that actually.
I agree, but still, if you look at the best-selling games on the PS4, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, FIFA 16, Star Wars, Call of Duty, Fallout, Infinite Warfare, Battlefield 1, FIFA, Destiny, and then you have Last of Us at 13. In the top 20, they got 2 first-party games in the top 20, and the rest of it is third-party. So yes, they have great games, but still third-party still sells. Then you look at Nintendo, and what do you get? You get a crap ton of first-party games. There's no games on the Wii U that sold more than 2 million units. That sold more than 1.5 from a third-party perspective.
But it's easy always going back just to the Wii U, though. If you say historically, then let's take the Wii into account. Let's take the Super Nintendo into account. Okay. You can't just use the Wii U because it's the only failure.
That was a long time ago. They're not even thinking about it in those terms anymore. Third-party developers have changed. So we can take the Wii if you want. If you look at the Wii, a lot of the games that were developed for the core fan base on there necessarily didn't sell as much as these third-party developers would have liked to sell. Now, they sold a lot of, let's take a look. They sold a lot of Just Dance. Just Dance is one of the best-selling games on the Wii. Sold said 10 million units on the Wii. So Ubisoft sold 10 million units of Just Dance 3, and then 9 million units of Just Dance 2, okay? And then if you look at what else they sold Just Dance 4, they sold 6.77 million units of Just Dance 4. Zuma Fitness sold 6.2 or 6.72 million. So if you're an executive working at these companies and you don't know much about video gaming, but you're smart, you got your MBA or whatever it is, you know, you're a smart man, and you're looking, Zumba's selling. Just Dance is selling, give him that, right? I mean, come on, Retro.
But now we go back to that again. It's like I said, but the thing is, the Switch is selling. You have devs that have big name people and big companies. They have the Switch. They keep praising it. They're taking it on the plane. They love it. Everybody wants it. But they still at E3 didn't show anything, and that's what I keep saying. E3 is about the future, and there was nothing there for the future because nobody's thinking about it. The install base, you don't need to wait for it because at this point, people know the install base.
Personally, I think E3 should be more about what we're going to be playing. I mean, Sony won E3 2018. I agree with that, but they didn't win E3 2017.
I don't agree to that. I didn't say that.
I think I'd rather have games to play this year than worry about a bunch of games that
is why even though
come out 3 years from now. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake. That was great, didn't it?
Sony released 2 DLC packs for this year. If you're thinking about just what is playable this year, Sony didn't win. I hated Nintendo conference. I thought it was a shitty conference. I was bored as fuck. But they had Fire Emblem Warriors, Xenoblade, Mario, Splatoon, ARMS, all that shit. You cannot tell me Sony had more to play this year than Nintendo. That is ridiculous.
I didn't say that. I said that Sony won E3. No, you didn't hear what I said. I said that Sony.
You said Sony has more to play this year.
No, I didn't. I said Nintendo has more. I said that Sony has more to play from what they announced next year. I said they won E3 2018.
No.
I said they won. Say that. If I didn't say that, that's what I meant. Sony won, and that was a joke that I made on Twitter that Sony won E3 2018 because they had a bunch of games announced for next year.
Now you brought that a bit too serious. That's why I went in there.
I made a joke about Sony winning E3 2018. I said E3 should be about this year too. It should be about this year as well. Yes,
that is what you said, and then earlier you said, and that is why Sony won, and that is no.
Well, if I said I misspoke. I meant to say that's the reason why Nintendo won E3 this year, but Sony won E3.
But that's not what you meant, because that went against your argument about the fact that Sony was there with the party.
Now you're just trying to nitpick at this point. I'm telling you what I said.
What do you mean? That's what a debate is. I'm not nitpicking.
You're trying to nitpick. I'm telling you that Nintendo won E3 this year because they had games this year. So I think E3 should be more about this year. I said Sony in 2017 they won E3 next year. That was the joke that I was trying to make. Sorry if I misspoke, but that was the joke that I was trying to make. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that these developers, all these companies, okay, with these games that are coming to the Nintendo Wii U, that came to Nintendo Wii U, they're looking at it and they are saying, we're not going to support this right now until we get our install base. Now, will some of them support it? Maybe. Will some of them not? Probably. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. But sitting here and making videos demanding that these third-party developers make games for my system that has less than 10 million units out on there is silly. It will get you nothing. It will get you damn near nothing unless they ask.
I didn't make a video demanding a third-party game.
That's what I was labeled into. That's what I was labeled into, and people were agreeing and saying, "Oh yeah, like you tell them we need."
That's what I said. That you always take things so personal. You always do that. Also,
I'm not taking things aggressively. I'm not taking things aggressively. I'm simply telling you and making fun. I make jokes about this stuff. I mean, you follow me on Twitter. I make jokes about people in third-party companies all the time. I don't take this super seriously. If I did, then I probably would have cut my wrists a couple times at this point from all the hate that people throw at me and people calling me sellout, people making 40-minute videos, people making 20-minute videos, people crying and complaining in my comment section. You ever looked at some of my comment sections? If I took all this stuff seriously, I would not be a sane person at this point. I would, okay? Just letting you know.
Let's do this step for step, okay? And step for step. Is the Switch right now selling?
It's doing good. Yes, it's selling.
It's selling. Okay. Are people saying they're not releasing games on there? Yes, they are. They don't want to. They're waiting. But if the Switch is selling and you say third-party support will come, but it is not coming now,
I said it will
like
come
I
from
said,
select. It will come from select developers. It's not going to come from everyone. Western developers might
yes,
just avoid.
but
Yes,
select
yes,
developers, dude.
yes.
At E3, we got nothing. We got the
Because
fucking
E3 is a
Remedy game.
trade show for Western developers, and I already said
But
back in January
matter
that
what
Western
developers it is
developers
for.
aren't necessarily going to be all over the Nintendo Switch.
Western
It
developers.
does
What do
very
you think
well.
Nintendo is?
What?
What do you think Nintendo all of a sudden is a Western developer?
Nintendo announced games for their own system.
Yes,
E3
they
is
did.
general.
At
E3 is
E3.
generally for the Western gaming market. That's what
E3 is for everybody. It was originally for the media. It spreads. That's what happens. You talk about games that are coming in the future. No,
the large
games
representation
are
of
coming
the
in the
large
future.
representation of E3 is for the Western gaming press and Western developers. That's what
Okay.
E3 is for. TGS is for mainly for Japanese developers.
Then explain to me why Microsoft in their conference had a Nintendo Switch and EA, even though FIFA is coming, didn't have a Switch logo with FIFA.
What does that
Explain
have
that
to do
to
with me? I don't care.
No, you can't just say you don't care.
Why should I care about if they put a
That's
logo?
not how it works.
Why should I care if they put a logo on FIFA or not, man? Like,
Because there was no fucking support for at E3 for the Switch. That is what I keep saying.
FIFA,
and now you're saying,
coming to
it
the
wasn't
system?
there, but I don't care. That is
FIFA coming to the system?
Point.
Is FIFA coming to the Switch?
Yes, it is, and that is my point. It is coming. And even that wasn't shown, even though it's coming. There wasn't even a logo there.
So
that
what
is
is
my
that? So does that mean that you're not going to get the game? What does that mean? Are you not going to get the game?
What are you trying to do now?
I'm trying to ask you. Your point is stupid.
The support
I'm trying to say
wasn't there.
And I'm telling you, yeah, the support. I'm not disagreeing with you that a lot of Western developers didn't have.
Let's just take your shit then. Let's just take Japanese dev. Yeah, Square's doing all this shit. Even Fate Extella, like I said, it was dropped next to it somewhere at E3. There was nothing. All the support we've had. You like to say, "Oh, From Software is making shit." What are we? We don't know what they're doing. Like they're working on a Tales game. You love saying that, but
they are.
Then people say, "Oh, yeah, dude." But you can't use it as an argument. They could be reporting Tales of Symphonia again. It could be a part of Berserker, yeah. But there was nothing shown. There is no. You can't say Tales is coming, so that's support. It is not there. It was not shown. Nintendo still has a list of developers that is coming. That is nowhere to be seen. You can't say there is third-party support when these games aren't anywhere to be seen.
I'm telling you that this is what they've said. We can only take them at face value. Unless you want to say that they're lying, that's fine. If you want to think that they're lying and that these games are made up and imaginary, then that's fine. You go ahead and do that. I'm telling you what has been said by them, what has been confirmed from Nintendo. When a company says something, you take them at face value, right? Maybe if you don't want to believe them, then that's fine. That's on you.
I'm not saying these games
don't come to the debate and say, oh, well, we might not know if they're announcing this game. This game, I'm telling you what's been announced. Yes, I like to say Tales has been announced because Tales has been announced. Yes, I like to say that Fate Extell was there because Fate Extell was there. I will tell you the facts. If you don't want to believe them, or if you feel that it's not good,
at E3,
if you don't want to believe them, or if you feel that it's not sufficient for you, I'm sorry for you, bro. Like I'm really
not saying that. I'm not saying at all. It's not that. We're talking about the fact that you say third-party support is there, the Japanese support is there.
I'm saying that we get there's select third-party developers that are putting games on Nintendo Switch, which is completely factual.
It's becoming less and less now already. Now it's select developers here and there. But like I said, at E3 there was nothing.
And E3 is for the Western press, and we're talking about Japanese. So
and that we keep saying, and then I bring to you, where was FIFA?
FIFA's a Japanese. Is that a Japanese game? We're not going to Western.
No, dude. You're saying it's for the Western. FIFA isn't made for Japan. It is made basically for Europe. That shit. That is made for the Western.
Sells in America too. It sells in America. I mean, FIFA sells well in America too. I mean, we like to play.
Exactly. I'm using Europe as an example because that's what everybody here buys a PlayStation 4 and all that shit because they want FIFA. But it is in general in the West. That's what you're saying. E3 is for the West. So then you use FIFA. And then you keep saying that all of a sudden that no, it is that. You keep using your same arguments.
You seem to be upset that they didn't show a logo for FIFA. Is that did that have nightmares for you that they didn't show a logo for FIFA? Is that what you're upset about?
No, now you're focusing just on FIFA again. It is in general. I said there is no third-party support there.
Okay, FIFA and did I say that there was a bunch of third-party support at E3? Did I ever say that was going to happen?
No, you're saying there is third-party support.
And I'm saying that we've already got announcements of third-party support, and I'm telling you the games that were announced. Yes. I didn't say there was a bunch of support announced at E3. I didn't say we're going to get a bunch of support at E3 and we're going to get all of these announcements. I'm telling you what's already been announced, which is factual, what's been announced already. Yes, I'm telling you what was there. I don't care if they show the logo or not. I'm telling you what was there.
We're not getting standard third-party support.
And I already told you that that's not going to happen back in January. We're not going to get standard third-party support because all the games sold like shit on Wii U. That's the reason why we're not getting standard third-party support. Maybe if the game starts selling, better, then we would have got standard support. This is the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, you need to listen to what I said beforehand. I'm telling you, this all ties into everything. This isn't something that I just brought up out of nowhere.
But now you're going back into the shitty port thing again, also. Now you're going back to that again, which I also find laughable, by the way.
It all connects. You're saying we're not getting standard support, and I'm telling you why we're not getting. If you bring up that we're not getting standard support, I'm going to tell you why we're not getting standard support. I'm not going to make an excuse. I'm not going to say, oh well, that's because they're going to wait for them to announce it in this year, and then maybe I'm telling you that we're not getting Call of Duty because maybe we're not getting Call of Duty. It's because Call of Duty didn't sell very well. Okay, we're not getting Need for Speed because Need for Speed didn't sell very well. That's what I'm telling you. Like, there's no. The thing is, like, a lot of Nintendo fans, you guys like to think, no, but we just deserve this. No, we need to buy the games.
I told you already.
I'm selling so crappy. Why did Need for Speed sell so crappy? Please,
I'm talking about third party in general, not for me. I told you I have a PC. I don't need it. It is about the fact that people said it would be there. And that is not coming.
A lot of people say stupid things. A lot of people say dumb things. A lot of people say dumb things. If someone thought that we were going to see a bunch of Western support based on what? Based on their imaginary beliefs.
The stupid Wii U list all the time. You're going back to the Wii U
list. Very crucial. If I'm telling you,
yes, that's what I'm saying. This already bunked the shit out of that. You can't keep using that list.
But I told you, the reason for everything. I'm telling you that this is the reason. The reason for every single one of Nintendo's issues with third party stems from Wii U, man. I'm telling you, it does. If Wii U games sold, this would not be happening. I can guarantee you, this would not be happening. If Wii U games would not be happening.
Sell anywhere.
What?
I told you this. I told you numbers.
That's not true. Call of Duty sold very well on Xbox.
No. I didn't say all of the games. I said half of these games didn't sell as much. That's why I said this whole list doesn't make sense. If you seriously only take the games that you believe didn't sell but sold anywhere else, this game would already be half the size. Then remove all the games that you said
can't make excuses versus those that weren't.
This list becomes shorter still.
You can't make excuses for all these games. If you want to make excuses for them, that's fine.
I'm not making excuses for them. I'm debunking this list you keep using over and over again.
Because you're damage controlling it, because you're trying to say, oh, well, we still deserve this support, even though these games all sold like trash. Now that's damage control. Because you're not addressing that these games sold bad. You need to address it and face the fact that Nintendo fans did not buy this stuff. So that's the reason why we're not getting this. This is facts from developers that I've spoken to, that the reason why we're not getting some of this stuff is because of these bad, horrible sales. Okay? Nintendo's very good at negotiating, so they can get some stuff like FIFA, they can get some stuff like NBA, they can work out a deal with Skyrim. But the reason why we're not getting a lot of this stuff is because of these crappy sales. That is the crux of everything.
But that's what I said. You had this list. You had these games that weren't just crappy on the Wii U. I keep saying it over and over. It's like you're not listening. It's going like through you. Half of these games didn't sell anywhere. It's not just because it didn't sell on the Wii U.
Name all the games that didn't sell. Which games?
I don't know all of them, but I can tell you that Watch Dogs, Mass Effect, Resident Evil.
Watch Dogs didn't sell anywhere?
Dude, Watch Dogs, the first one, I told you this already. It sold like 13 million, 0.13 million on the Wii U. It sold like 3 million combined on the 360 and the PS3 that have an install base of 180 million.
Exactly.
It didn't sell.
No, that is selling for a third-party developer. That is selling.
Dude, you have to take it into percent. You have to take the percentage into it.
I don't know where you're getting these numbers from, but based on what I'm seeing here, Watch Dogs on PS4 sold 4 million. Watch Dogs 2 sold 3 million. Watch Dogs on the PS3 sold 1.76 million.
No, now you're taking current gen into account. That wasn't the point there. You can't just keep switching all the time like that.
Dude, but what I'm trying to tell you is that the install base is very important in order to get sales. There's so many third-party games, okay? There's only a limited amount of money, okay, that people can spend their money on, all right? And there's so many third-party games. Developers need as many consumers as possible in order for their games to sell. So you can't say, oh, well, it didn't sell because they have 180 million people out there. It doesn't matter. Third-party developers don't care. All they care about is if their game made profit and it sold. The bigger the install base, the better for them. If Nintendo pushed them to get Watch Dogs and to get all this stuff and their games don't sell, you can't fault them for saying, well, you know what, we're going to wait. You can't fault them for that. Microsoft and Sony did a better job of selling their system in order to foster better third-party support. Microsoft and Sony did a better job of selling their system with more marketing and everything, right, with the PS2 and Xbox 360 in order to get the support that they're getting, all right? That's what third-party developers want. They want as many consumers as possible to buy their game. When you have a low install base, third-party developers are going to be more hesitant, and third-party developers are going to look at what is sold in the past and see if it's a good investment in order to put that out there. That's the reason why you see Assassin's Creed at the launch of the PS3, at the PS4 and the Xbox One, even though the install base is low, and they were right. They banked on it doing well, Assassin's Creed doing well at the launch of the PS4, and it did. It sold 1 million units. You know, so you can sit here and try to say, oh, well, you can bring up any type of argument that you want. They have a big install base, whatever the case is, doesn't matter to these third-party developers. They don't make the system.
So now you're saying the install base doesn't matter?
The third-party developers,
you keep flip-flopping your fucking arguments all the time.
What I'm telling you is that third-party developers, okay, they want a large install base. You using it as an excuse to say, oh, well, it sold comparably well, or it didn't sell well because they had this many people. That doesn't matter. Saying that something didn't sell well because it has 180 million, it can have there could be 500 million PS4 sold. And if Sony puts out, or if Ubisoft puts out a game like Watch Dogs 3 and it sells 4 million copies on 200 million units sold, they still made their money. They still made profit. Doesn't matter to them. You know why it doesn't matter to them? Because they released it on a huge install base and they know they're going to get a certain amount of sales. If you have an install base of 5, if 5 people buy a system and you release a game, you're not going to get as much sales. It's just not going to happen. So what I'm trying to tell you and what people need to understand is that the install base definitely needs to go up. That's the reason why Nintendo is putting out so many first-party titles in the first year. They want to drive that install base and entice third-party developers to come onto the system. Reggie Fils-Aimé said this himself. He said that, quote, I can read it to you, bro. Quote from third-party developers. They look for a large install base. That's what we're trying to create. Reggie himself says that.
But like I said, the logic isn't there, because once you have this massive install base, you are still going to get the exact same shitty sales, because like I said, you're going to have a fucking system based with Mario games.
Stop speaking for Ubisoft. Ubisoft never said they're shitty sales. Stop speaking for this multi-billion or multi-million-dollar company. Stop speaking for them. Stop.
You keep
Ubisoft never said. No, I'm telling you, you're sitting here saying that they're shitty sales. When did Ubisoft come out and say that they're shitty sales? If you sell 4 million, just do some
mention Ubisoft. I don't know why you're bringing them up.
Okay, well, what games are you saying that had shitty sales to where, oh, well, it sold shitty on everything? You're trying to make excuses for the Wii U version not selling well. What games on this list that you're saying that sold shitty? Please tell me the games that sold so shitty.
I mean, I gave you some examples earlier already, and again, but then you keep changing the argument, because then you keep saying, oh no, but comparatively, if you take the percentage and you multiply it, then there's a lot more games all of a sudden. So it doesn't matter what I say, because you keep retwisting all the arguments.
Nobody's retwisting anything. For some reason, you fail to understand that third-party games just sell better on Microsoft and Sony system, whether it's
I don't fail to understand that. I know they do.
You're sitting here and saying that, oh, I named all these shitty games, or I named all these games that sold shitty, and then you tried to use the install base. Oh, well, it has this install base, and it still didn't sell enough. You were just trying to use that argument that it didn't sell enough per the install base. That's what you were just trying to do in a micro. Okay.
No. Well, but I didn't say the third-party games didn't sell on those systems. I don't say that at all.
Please, so then I'm a very silly individual. Please refresh my memory on what games sold so bad that third-party developers just had to just be like, man, our games just sold so bad.
I'm not a journalist. I came here for the debate. I didn't do 100,000 research. I gave you a couple of games that had that. If I take that list that you had earlier, like I said, and I would do it for every single game, you would see that most of these games that I told you already, they sold shitty in general. That had nothing to do with
I can sit here.
You cannot tell me Watch Dogs was successful.
I can tell you Watch Dogs was successful. I can, because you can just basically look at the sales and multiply that by the numbers. You can do basic math and see that the game was very successful for Ubisoft.
So now you can multiply all of a sudden to prove a point?
You look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. If a company sells 3 million copies of a game, that's generally good. What are you trying to say? That's bad that they sell that they sold?
No. I didn't say that's bad. I didn't say those numbers are bad. I'm saying that the game wasn't a success because when you take into
How was
account the
it not a
dude,
success?
if you take this,
Ubisoft never
okay,
said that
listen,
Watch Dogs was
listen.
not a
No,
success.
I'm gonna explain my point to you. So listen, if you take this install base, let's take the 180 million here, okay, for the 3 million for Watch Dogs. If the Xbox One, which has like 30 million, you think the game would still have sold as much? No. So percentage-wise, the game didn't sell. It flopped.
They're worried, but it didn't flop to them. What Ubisoft never said it was a flop. If you're talking about Watch Dogs, whatever game, I mean, you can use maybe Tekken. That game didn't sell that great comparatively. That game, okay, I get it for that. But most of the games that I've brought up generally sold a lot better. Like the Batman games, like Batman Arkham sold better. Batman Arkham Origins, Call of Duty is probably, don't bring up Call of Duty because that game sold gangbusters. Ubisoft never said that Watch Dogs was not a success.
You keep twisting it. Again, I didn't say all the games on this list. I said half of these games that will go back again. You also had Resident Evil Revelation.
You're saying half. Well, what are the half?
Sell. Resident Evil Revelation didn't sell. You had like these games. And when you take the percentage of the other games, like I said, like Watch Dogs, Mass Effect, they weren't successful. You can't say these games flopped on the Wii U.
The biggest thing that we're looking at here from what people are talking about, they're talking about major third party, okay? So we're talking about big games. Revelations is definitely a smaller game. And look, I can almost
Resident Evil, don't do that.
It's a spin-off. It's not Resident, it's not a main Resident Evil. It's Resident Evil Revelations. It started on the 3DS. It's a spin-off. It's not the main series Resident Evil game.
That, by the way, also didn't sell.
Well, it sold more than Wii U version.
It didn't reach even 1 million on the 3DS.
I know, but it sold more than the Wii U version. Didn't sell very well, but maybe that's why that's the reason why they ported it to all the other systems, right? So we're talking about major third party, okay? We're talking about major third party because people want to see that major third party. So let's talk about the major third party.
You call it major third party. I call it standard third party.
Standard third party is major third party. If we're talking about what people think in the general consensus of people's minds, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed. These are what standard third party is, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And these are all big sellers on other systems, correct?
Not always.
Well, Call of Duty isn't always a big seller?
You can't say that. Not all of them sold just as well.
We're talking about standard third-party support.
Franchise, and we just talked about that. You cannot just take a franchise and say, oh, well, these games sold, so all of them sell. No, not all of them always sell.
Well, I'm giving you particular examples, and we can go into numbers, and it seems like you don't want to do that.
We can do it. We can talk numbers all night if you want.
Yeah, and the numbers are clearly against the Wii U and in the favor of PS4, Xbox One, PS3, Xbox 360. So I don't see why you're saying, oh, well, maybe some of them don't sell as well. You're cherry picking.
I'm not saying maybe.
What I'm trying to tell you, what I'm telling you is that a lot of them, as far as standard third-party support that people want to see on their system, generally sell on PS4, Xbox One, PS3, Xbox 360. That is fact. If we're talking about the major third-party support that people are saying that they want on their system, like you said on your video, where's Assassin's Creed? Okay, that's what you're saying. Yeah, that sells on PS4, Xbox One. That sells on PS3, Xbox 360. People are saying, where's my Call of Duty? That sells on PS3, Xbox 360. That sells on PS4, Xbox One. People are saying, where's my Batman? That sells on PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox One, or what Batman Arkham Knight. That game sucks, but it sold. You see what I'm saying here? The standard third-party support that people are clamoring for, that people love and want, those games that came to the Wii U did not sell, whether they
sold on the Wii. So you can. That's what I keep saying. You cannot just randomly use the Wii U to negate everything else.
Unfortunately, for third-party developers,
no. We're talking about Wii here. You cannot use one argument to debunk my Wii U thingy. For example,
I'm telling you fact, bro. Like you're not understanding.
The facts are these games sold.
The facts are third-party developers have looked at the last system that was. They're not looking at the Wii. That's ancient history at this point. Okay, that's what
I'm saying. No. You say on Nintendo's. No. You say on Nintendo systems, people don't buy them. On Sony, Microsoft, they do, but they do buy them on Nintendo systems. But like we said, they don't sell on the Wii U, particularly just because there wasn't too many people to buy them.
Let me ask you a question: what big third-party games that were made for the core audience on the Wii sold as much as a Call of Duty or something? Call of Duty sold okay. It sold like 2 million.
You had like World of War that sold about 2 million. You had Black Ops that went over 1 million. And according to you, that's okay. If it reaches a couple of million, it's okay.
Okay. And then they released those games on the Wii U. And then what happened?
Yes, but that is what I keep saying. You cannot use one system to say they're not going to come, even though we're talking about, you say Nintendo gamers don't buy these. That is why now it's not coming to the Switch, because now they want to wait to have them there.
I'm saying right now, the same Nintendo gamers that bought Wii and all that, could they be the same as right now? Maybe they could be, but right now the developers are looking at Wii U. They're looking at Wii U and what Wii U did. Wii U was here for 4 years. They're looking at that. The Wii was a long time ago. They're looking at what's happening in this climate. They're not looking at what happened a decade ago when Wii was relevant.
That is my main argument here. They're not looking at right now at the Switch, because right now, that is what I keep bringing up. That is what we keep coming back to. The Switch is selling. Nintendo is kicking it out of the water. Okay. It is there. The numbers are there. Everybody's interested. All the devs are interested. Everybody's there, but nothing gets announced.
You're saying that the Nintendo Switch is selling. Okay, has it sold over 10 million?
I don't know what is that right now, but it's never in stock anyway.
So in order to announce a version of a game, there needs to be planning involved. Okay, so maybe they start putting together 2016. In 2016, if they're planning to make a Switch version of something, there was no sales of the Nintendo Switch in 2016. We only got sales at this point. That's the only. We only got sales now. We didn't get sales in 2016 or 2015.
You can't say that. How often did Microsoft sell their games while using PC footage? This happens. You tell me I don't know the industry. This happens. It doesn't matter. All they need to do is announce it and show it and say it is coming. And it is
they're not going to do that. Why would they do that? Why are they going to do that?
Because else you're going to get, like I keep saying, you're going to get 100,000 million Mario players not buying a third party because there is no third party support, because nobody buys it then.
They're not.
You keep coming back to the exact same issue, and you keep going around and around and around and around and around.
That failed. That strategy failed. The strategy that you're saying failed. It failed them last time. But you're telling them to do the same thing in good faith. But they're not going to, because we're not equal in their eyes. I'm telling you that. We're not equal in their eyes. And it sucks. Trust me, it does. But we're not equal. Because of the Wii U, we're not equal. They're not looking at the Wii. I would love for them to look at the Wii and say, okay, yeah, some players did buy some stuff. I would love for them, but they're not doing that because business people don't think like that.
Yes,
they think,
exactly.
What have you done for me right now?
That.
And I'm telling you that this is what's happening because of what's happening right now. Right now, the Wii U is fresh on their memory of, we put out games and it didn't sell. So that's the reason why this is happening. You saying that they should just have good faith that maybe it would have sold, because we're talking about planning and getting things ready in 2016 or 2015. There was no sales data for them to go off of. Maybe at this point they can look and see, okay, it's selling. Maybe we should get some things going, or maybe we should start up, and maybe we should put that team together. I can see that right now, but to sit here and say in 2015, 2016, when they're preparing their announcements and they're preparing, okay, well, this game's going to be ready to show off in 2017, or this game's going to be ready to show off in 2016. How can you sit here and tell them, okay, we'll have this ready for an announcement when they have no sales data to even go off of in the first place? They don't have any sales data.
So then tell me, how much did Bethesda sell on the Wii U?
But Nintendo worked out a deal with them, which is what people wanted, right? Nintendo worked out a deal with them. That's good. We want that. I agree. But Nintendo's publishing it. Nintendo is taking care of them. It's a good faith between the two companies, and hopefully something can come more of it. But if the game doesn't sell, who knows what's going to happen? But it's in good faith that Nintendo publishes the game. I mean, I called Bethesda cheap because they are kind of being it. But Dr. Trey came out and said, okay, well, maybe Nintendo, is doing it in good faith, that they're publishing the game in good faith to show that there's a good partnership between them, which is good. That's good. That's what people wanted. So I have no issue with that. But I'm telling you that a lot of developers, when they're sitting there and they're planning their announcements for the following year, they have no sales data to go off of. People are saying, oh, well, the Nintendo Switch is selling. Why didn't they announce anything? That would have given them what? We just found out about the sales back in April. I think April the sales came out that it sold 3 million. And even to a third-party developer, they're like, okay, well, 3 million. And Wii U had 3 million at one point. Heck, Wii U had 13 million at one point, or 7 or 8 million in the middle of 2013, or sorry, not 2014, or whatever the case is. I don't know how much they sold in the first year. And games came out, Splinter Cell came out, and Splinter Cell didn't sell, so like developers have to have something to go off of. We're not going to get the same treatment. And I think that's something that Nintendo fans just need to accept. You want to say that I'm damage controlling and I'm making excuses for them? That's fine. Go ahead and say that, but it's the truth. We just need to accept that they're just not going to treat us like that. They're just not going to treat us like PS4 and Xbox One players, or Sony and Microsoft. Because if you look at the sales data for Sony and Microsoft systems, those generally, they see the big sales. They're like, yes, we sold 10 million of a rehashed Call of Duty. They're jumping in joy that people are buying the same crap over and over again, man. Whereas they put Call of Duty on the Wii U and it sells nothing. And they're like, man, these Nintendo fans don't fall for the same crap that these PS4 and Xbox One dudes and these PS3 and Xbox 360 dudes fall for. They're upset that we're not as dumb. So therefore, they're not going to full support.
But
until they see a base. I mean,
you keep going in circles on this, but this is what I keep saying. Now you use that again. It's like not all third parties can be lumped in one thingy. The fact that a couple of games sold doesn't mean all of them sold. That's what I keep saying. But
I agree with
going
you.
In circles with all of this.
I agree with you.
It's like
we're talking about big third-party support here, man. We're talking about the standard third-party support that you just said. Guys, look. If every game didn't come to Nintendo Switch, I don't think anybody would have a problem, right? Like if every single game doesn't sell as much, I think even like Watch Dogs, if that doesn't come to the Switch, whether there's a Watch Dogs 3, whatever. Okay, most people are what people want, right? They want these big. They want Destiny. They want, Call of Duty. I'm just talking about that, okay? I understand that stuff like, I don't know, Tekken Tag Tournament 2 didn't sell as much on other systems. I can agree with you there. You know what I'm saying? But Bandai Namco has created Pokken for us. That sold a lot better than Tekken. That sold a lot better than Tekken on all the on Tekken Tag Tournament 2 on all the systems.
Dude, come on, that's Pokemon. Pokemon, you have like a fucking Magikarp game that like downloaded. But it doesn't matter.
But you see what I'm saying though, right? Like Nintendo fans are more likely to buy like, third-party games that are kind of built with their franchises in mind, like Fire Emblem Warriors. That's probably going to sell a lot, right? But Warriors Orochi Hyper 3 sold less than 100,000, but Hyrule Warriors sells like almost 2 million or something like that, or like 1.5 or whatever the case is. So if you get a third-party game to tune a game for the Nintendo audience, it'll sell. But if they put out their standard Dynasty Warriors or whatever this crap is, it doesn't sell so much.
Yeah, but that's what I keep saying. You can't though lump all third parties like that. There have been third-party games, exclusive or not, that have sold. That's what I keep saying. You cannot lump everybody together in one thing and saying it does this or that.
The big support that people are clamoring for. I mean, if there was crappy games or off support that didn't come to the Switch, I don't think people would be. I mean, that's not what people are making a fuss about, right? People are making a fuss about the big games, the Destinies. They're not making a fuss about the small. I don't think people are even making that much of a fuss about Injustice. Injustice 2.
Oh, fuck, I am. I can't stand it.
But I don't think everyone's making as much of a big. I mean, that's a big game, but it's not like, oh my gosh, it needs like, people are making fusses about Call of Duty. I've gotten a lot of people making fusses about that. People are making fusses about, Need for Speed or whatever the case is. All of EA's games, for the most part, like that's what the people want. They want those big, oh my gosh, games. That's what I'm talking about here. That's the general support. If Nintendo got all those games and didn't get some of the other ones, I don't think it'd be a problem. Like if Nintendo didn't get Tekken 7, I don't think it's that big of a deal that Nintendo didn't get Tekken 7. I don't think most people care. Same thing goes with Injustice. I don't think most people care. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the third-party support that everyone says. Like you said, even in your video, Assassin's Creed. That's what everyone's talking about, right? That's what you guys want. That's what you guys want. You guys want Assassin's Creed. You guys want these big games. And I'm telling you, the reason why these are not coming is because of what's happened. And you guys need to understand this, accept it. Stop making salty video. Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to stop doing. You guys can do whatever you want. But I would say less on the sodium when it comes to making videos, less on the sodium and more encouraging people to buy the big games that are coming out, because that's regressive. What some people are doing is
saying
regressive.
That though with the salty video. But dude, if you said your Sony thing 2018 thing was a joke, you cannot tell me that you took my second video, the follow-up video, where I actually apologized to you concerning all of that.
I'm not mad at you.
You cannot tell me that is salt.
No, I'm not. I didn't say that your second video was salt. When did I say that? Did I say that?
You say salty, oh fuck, you said crying salty videos or something like that.
I didn't say you. I didn't say your salty videos.
No,
I'm just
we're
saying
talking about
you have people making videos saying, I demand Nintendo fans need to stand up and demand that we get everything that these other people get. And third-party developers are like, you need to shut up and sit down. That's what third-party developers, they're not saying that out loud, but they're saying that to the they're looking in the rooms like, who are these chumps? I'm telling you, that's what they're doing. They're looking at the room saying, like, look at these chumps talking. Yeah, you guys were talking big game on Wii U too, demanding crap. What'd you guys do? Y'all didn't buy nothing. Shut up. Sit down. That's what they're saying. I'm telling you, they're laughing. They're laughing at us. They're laughing at us. I'm telling you that, bro. They're laughing at us. And you know why they're laughing at us? Because of these sales. You can sit here and say that they're gimped, whatever. Want to call me I'm damage controlling? Say that I'm damage controlling. But I'm the one who went to E3. I'm the one who talked to these developers. I'm the one who's looking at the sales. I'm the one who's comparing them.
Dude, that was like 3 years ago when you went to E3.
I went to E3 2014, E3 2015, and E3 2016. I didn't go this year.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you just said everything changed with the Switch and everything is different. So you can't just say that. You cannot just say that's
I'm
continuity.
telling you, no, I'm telling you that I talked to developers about Wii U. Why isn't this game coming to Wii U? What's with your Wii U project? I'm telling you that I've talked to them, and this is the feedback that I'm getting is that sales are an issue. That with the Nintendo fan base, sales are an issue. This is an issue that everyone's been bringing up for.
Yes, and that's what
it's an issue.
Saying. And I keep telling you, the Switch is selling already. It is selling like crazy, and dude, you know it is not going to stop. Nintendo is
I know it's not
doing crazy work. It is not going to stop.
I know it's not, but
it's going to surpass the Xbox in a year. I know this.
Remember, for third-party companies,
have to take into account that the fact that it is selling, the install base is going to come, and that's what I'm saying. We didn't even get a single announcement or anything.
Maybe I can understand your argument if maybe like next year. So like, let's say the Nintendo Switch is selling so well and it has an install base of 10 million plus, and third-party developers still shun the Nintendo Switch. Then I'm going to be
we're going to come back to that because we have our bets.
And then I'll be on your boat. Then I'll be on your boat. If Nintendo Switch is selling out and they're going to have a projected 20 million by the end of next year, then I'll be on the same boat as you. I'm like, hey, okay, hold up here, because now we got a base. There should be more. There should be more. There should be some. But
that is the thing. The way we are going now, that is where we are heading.
But games
there's nothing yet now. So if all these games that are now have been in development for years are not coming to the Switch, 1 year is not going to change that. Nothing is going to change in that. So we will be in the exact same position.
Change. No, it'll change.
You'll be buying new games.
No, it'll change. Some of it will change. If the install base, if it goes up, some of it will definitely change.
I can hear the doubt in your voice.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm telling you that it will change. You can say you can hear the doubt in my voice, but I'm telling you that it will. Some of it will change. Will everything? No, we will probably never get everything. We'll probably never ever get everything.
We don't need to get everything. It's like you said, you can't get everything. Nobody can get everything. That is why the Xbox, for example, is not getting most of the releases, but you can't get everything. But there are those games that are basic. Let's say Call of Duty. That thing came out on a fucking Virtual Boy. That thing is on everything. Everything that sold, everything that didn't sell. The fact that this has not been announced yet at E3, for example, that it's coming, it makes no sense. Even with the Switch not having sold yet.
Well, it makes sense because they put up, like I'm telling you, it makes sense to me, at least. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you, but it makes sense. It makes sense to me.
They have money to piss away. The fact that people like that are not taking a chance, but you have like Bethesda taking a chance, shit like that. And Square is coming back with zero incentive. They have no reason to believe. You keep using the Wii U. There was nothing from Square on the Wii U. I think even on the Wii, you had like one shitty Final Fantasy, for example. There was nothing there either, Barry, for Square. So what incentive do they have then to come back now and all of a sudden release everything? Because come on, Square's coming with like
obviously
they're coming with Setsuna. They have like 4 fucking Dragon Quest games. They're coming with everything now.
And I'll tell you why. Then Nintendo has obviously been talking to Square Enix, and in good faith, they are making deals to make sure that their games come there, because maybe Nintendo feels that their audience is going to want these type of games. So Nintendo is taking the initiative, just like Nintendo took the initiative last generation with the Wii U to get these games that never really appeared on a Nintendo system before. Some of these titles are necessarily aren't 100% with the Nintendo audience, whatever the case is. They took their time and they talked to these developers. It didn't work, so they took a different strategy this time. Well, let's really focus on first party. Let's get some of this let's get Square. Let's get some of these Japanese developers, and let's see where that takes us this time. And this time it's working. Last time it didn't. I mean, it's last time it didn't work. They took a strategy of trying to get as much Western support as possible out at launch. You want to play a Mass Effect? You want to play Need for Speed? Well, that was a little bit later, Need for Speed, but whatever. You want to play Call of Duty? You want to play Batman? You want to play Assassin's Creed all at launch? We got it here for you. Buy the system. They took that approach and it didn't work. It just for whatever reason, it didn't work. So they're not going to do the same strategy. Third-party developers.
I will admit one thing. It is obvious because I keep saying it. Like the Wii U launched with like 30 fucking games. I agree, it launched with too many games, but there is a difference between too many games and no games.
Okay, but and I understand, and like I said, I'm right with you there. It would have been great, but obviously with the my computer. Okay, but obviously with the March launch, you know what I'm saying, and with Nintendo having Zelda, I mean, if you're a third-party developer, like, Are you
Yeah,
really
but
going
dude,
to are you really going to go up
agree.
against that? I mean, are you really going to try to? I mean, we had Bomberman, which sold good, so maybe more third-party developers should have been there at launch.
I agree.
You know
It is obvious that like something is not like we keep saying. It is obvious, for example, that Skyrim is not going to sell when you release it with Zelda. But when you have like a game, it's been like what 4 months now since it's been released. Dude, it's been 4 months. There's like what 10 Switch games, and I'm not talking about 100,000 indie games. There's like seriously like less than 10 physical games, I think.
Yeah, because third-party developers see that it's still a low install base. You always talk about, oh, well, it's selling. It's still a low install base.
Yes, but we're talking about the confidence here. Like I said, like we know Square is there, we know Bethesda is there, and it's something as basic, that's what we keep saying, as something as basic as Call of Duty is not coming on a Switch. They know it's selling. They know it's a great idea.
They didn't know it's selling when they were making Call of Duty. When they were making Call of Duty, they didn't know it was selling. When you make a game, it takes years to make a game. It's not like they looked at it right now and said, okay, it's selling. Now we're gonna put it on the system now. Okay, it's coming down. We just found out that it was selling this year. This game Call of Duty's been in development for 3 years, dude.
But yes, first of all, it's been, like I said, 4 months. By now at E3, they could have, some people could have announced something. But this is what I'm saying.
So what you're trying to tell me is that, so wait, hold up. So what you're trying to tell me is that Activision, okay, so they're waiting. March comes, okay, how does it sell? And then all of a sudden, okay, it sold 3 million. Let's put a game on, let's put Call of Duty on there. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Okay, no, but I can turn this around too. So you think Nintendo, they're like, okay, they're sitting there with their watches. Okay, wait, it's March 3rd. No, the Switch is there. Okay, now we got to contact people that were making this. No, they've been talking like for years already since the development.
This is the strategy that everyone felt would be better. Nintendo, make an install base for us, please. Nintendo said, got it. We're gonna release 12 games. I think they're releasing 12 first-party games this year. 1-2 Switch, Zelda, Snipper Clips, and then Mario, and then you have Mario Kart. You have Rabbids plus Mario. You have ARMS, Splatoon 2. They're literally releasing like 11 or 12 games or something this year. That was the plan. If you guys aren't smart enough to see that was the plan, then I don't know what to tell you. If you guys, I'm just saying, because people tell me, oh, well, why aren't they talking to these third parties? This was the plan. You're saying that they talked to them in years. Yes, they did talk to them. And the plan was not to do what the Wii U did. And what the plan for the Wii U was, talk to everyone, get all their games out. The plan with the Switch is get our first-party games out, drive the install base. Let's hope you guys come on. That is the plan.
Here's my thing. They talk to the developers. They take, like, for example, I think it was Capcom. I think my roof is leaking. You have, like, Capcom that had, like, the Switch, if you added all this extra RAM and shit or whatever, then that'll be great. We want to be there and shit. And then they released fucking Street Fighter. You're not going to tell me the Switch need all that RAM to run Street Fighter. And that's what I keep saying. Like, even for... there was nothing announced. They say they were there. They claim they were there. And I'm pretty sure in the future they will be there. But the thing is, at E3 is about the future, and they weren't there. There's nothing there. Like we said, they were there to give us a double cross in Japan, and that's what they've been doing.
Okay, but I guess your interpretation of the future and not seeing that, maybe you're upset with E3, and maybe people were giving you crap about E3, right? So maybe that's the reason why you made some videos and whatever the case was. I can see why you're upset with that if you feel the E3 is about the future and we should be getting all these announcements. But unfortunately,
that's why I'm using E3.
Unfortunately, the games are being made and they're being prepared for announcements well before E3. All right. No games that are ready for E3. If there's no games because they didn't know the sales, they're already doing what they're going to put out for E3. If they didn't know the sales, you're not going to get anything. Now, like I said,
go to the videos. My point was that people were bashing the Wii U. You loved the Wii U in the beginning. I remember all this shit. That's why I subbed you in the beginning because I was a Nintendo fan. And at one point, you started just like hitting from one end to the other. And this is, I'm not lipping you with this. I'm just using this as a segue again, just saying. And then everybody started hating on the Wii U. It doesn't have the support. You need this third-party support. And then they announced the Switch. And then Nintendo said there's going to be support. And then people claim there's going to be support. And then I get shit because I like the Wii U. And I love the Switch too. But I'm saying there is no support for the Switch.
And I'm sorry.
And then when E3 comes, there is nothing to be seen. And people.
And I'm sorry that you got crap about the Wii U. But the Wii U's problem goes far beyond third-party support because there's a ton of third-party support.
That wasn't about the Wii U. It was about the fact that at E3 there was still nothing there. And that is what it was about.
What I'm trying to tell you is that the problem with the Wii U. The problem with the Wii U is that the first-party support necessarily wasn't as good as it should have been. They had great third-party support at the beginning, and they had great third-party support even throughout 2013. People were just being stupid when it came like, oh, there's no third-party support. Yeah, there is. Look at all these freaking games. I wasn't complaining about third-party support. I have a bunch of third-party support on my Wii U. I was complaining about where's my damn Xenoblade Chronicles X? They announced it in 2013. It doesn't come out till almost 2016. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, they announced it in 2013. It's a completely different game from when they announced it. I was complaining about first-party.
That's why I didn't buy it in the first place.
I was complaining about first-party support. I'm like, where are the freaking first-party games? Where are the first-party games that are really going to get me excited? Where are the RPGs that I'm going to love? Where are the Japanese games? Like that was things that I made.
I remember that. I agree. I remember all of that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you didn't.
And I think there was a lot of people that agree with me. Like, yeah, where's our Japanese support? All this Western support, all this stuff. People didn't buy it. So it's not like people were sitting there waiting for Western support. You can't sit here and deny that there wasn't third-party support on the Wii U. And people who did at launch, they're stupid. Anybody who says that the Wii U didn't have Western support at launch, you're silly. And even into 2013, there was Splinter Cell, there was other games. There was stuff in even 2013. Yeah, Black Ops, they didn't get everything, but it still got some stuff. That's silly. People were complaining.
And this is the main reason why we are doing this debate, because I think between all our back and forth, it got confused that you assumed, I assumed shit, and like you thought, for example, that I lumped you in with those guys, and vice versa. And that is why we're doing this, to kind of clear that up.
Okay, that's true. So what I'm saying with this is so we can kind of get back on topic to maybe where there isn't any confusion. What I'm saying is this: as Nintendo fans, there's a couple things that people need to understand. I mean, like I said, you can demand all you want to, and people are making videos demanding and saying that we should ask for this. Like, we need to be vocal, and if you're not with me, you're against us. So drop that crap. Absolutely. If you're making videos like that, drop it. It's not working. And it's not going to work. Drop it.
But then we come into like this fanboy territory shit. That is
no. These are vocal people in the community that are saying this stuff. These are people that have made videos with subscribers that you're probably subscribed to that have made videos like this.
Yeah,
but we need to demand this. We need to demand it because this is what I want. So we need to drop it. Drop it, bro, because they don't care what you say. That isn't gonna make, you know what's gonna make you get third-party support?
You can't say that people don't care what the gamers say. They do. People do care. That is why we're getting Metroid Prime 4. That is why we're getting Pokemon. That is why we're getting Skyrim, because they listen.
We're talking about third party. We're talking about
Skyrim.
third party. Well,
I'm talking about in general. People listen.
We wanted Skyrim last generation, but yes, that's great that we're getting Skyrim. We're finally getting it. Yes, we've all wanted that. And I'm not saying that everyone doesn't listen, and I'm not saying that every single developer doesn't listen. What I'm saying right now is that third-party developers, based on what has happened, they are definitely not caring about people making videos complaining that we're not getting this, because they look at the install base and say, yeah, okay, you guys are selling, but
then I'm using a more recent example. The Dragon Ball dude, for example, he said, if you guys want it, then we bring it. Of course people are listening.
Oh yeah, I mean, Japanese developer like Bandai Namco, because I mean Switch. But you ask a Western
developer, you're segregating again. No, it's in general. We're talking about
third party.
party.
I've already said this from the very beginning that Japanese is going to be more in tune with what Switch is doing. I've already said that at the very beginning, though, and I said that back in January.
No, because it is not coming. It is not coming. That is the thing. We have to port back for it to be there. I'm telling you, not all Japanese are there. We're not getting.
I know that not all Japanese are there, but I do feel that at some point, a lot, if not most of them, will be on the Switch. That's my personal belief.
The biggest proof of all this screw over still is what we said, the whole Monster Hunter thing we have going on. You cannot tell me that, not taking into account rumors or whatever, that right now, when they announced Double Cross, you were happy, and then they said it's not coming. And then you see Monster Hunter World coming to everything except for Switch. You cannot tell me that doesn't.
They said that they haven't made an announcement with Double Cross.
No. That means it's not there.
Well, don't twist their words into what you wanted to say. They said that we have not made an announcement that it's coming or not, and that's great if Double Cross comes. If it doesn't, that's great. I personally feel, now you're getting into, oh well, you can't be upset. Now you're trying to tell me how to feel about announcements. I look at it like this. They already said, I read the interviews as far as Monster Hunter World. They said that the game was being in development since 2013. The game was in development since 2013. So that was 3 years before a dev kit, or 2 years before a dev kit could even pop up on x86 systems. If Monster Hunter, and they're making a bunch of changes to appeal to the Western audience. Okay, I'm much more reasonable. Fine. That's what you guys want to do. That's what you guys are going to do. I'm going to wait, if you guys are going to do it, for my Monster Hunter that's going to come to a portable system that you know Japan's going to like. I don't think Capcom is that dumb to not bring a Monster Hunter.
That is the whole point of this. You are getting a Monster Hunter that Japan
that's that Double Cross will not be the only Monster Hunter game on the Switch.
I'm not saying it is not. I'm saying that's what you're getting now.
Well, okay, that's great. I can wait for another Monster Hunter. The Monster Hunter that's coming on PS4 and Xbox One isn't coming out till next year anyway. So if they announce a Monster Hunter next year for the Nintendo Switch and it comes out in 2018 or comes out in 2019, then okay, we waited a little bit longer. I mean, boo-hoo. Like, okay, so we had to wait. Oh, we had to wait.
But that is the main issue, that we shouldn't have to wait this long. If you say the game Monster Hunter World, for example, if it's in development for like whatever you said, 5-6 years, okay, and then considering the relation they had with Nintendo the past couple of years, because it didn't start for Nintendo, but considering the relation they had, and they know this game is coming, if Nintendo is fighting for all these games, for all these third parties, they're going to Bethesda and every shit, for Ubisoft, if they live next door to Capcom, why are they okay with releasing Double Cross then instead of World on there?
Maybe
and if they notice, and then you get the thing with,
maybe because World has been in development for a long time, and they have a completely custom Monster Hunter, a brand new Monster Hunter for Nintendo Switch owners. Maybe Nintendo knows
but
that.
You don't know that. That is just speculation.
Okay,
that is what
but you're saying that, why is Nintendo fighting for this? Maybe they did fight for it. Maybe something didn't happen. If you want to go into speculation, you're saying, well, why aren't they fighting for it? Maybe that's why they're not fighting. I'm giving you answers to maybe why they're not doing something. You don't know if they did fight for it or not. You don't know if Sony paid for it to be an exclusive, because apparently it's an exclusive in Japan. It's not coming to PC and Xbox One in Japan, at least from what I heard. I might be wrong, but it's only coming to PS4 in Japan. So maybe Sony.
From what I heard, it's just multiplayer shit. It's coming to everything.
Okay, but from what I'm hearing is that it's not going to Xbox One and the PC in Japan. That it's a PS4 exclusive in Japan. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing about.
Still, if Nintendo knew this, then they could have had another team or a different division of Capcom. Because you think if Capcom gets paid off, okay, let's say they get paid off. I don't buy the shit, whatever. Let's say they get paid off by Sony. Don't release Monster Hunter on the Switch because we're afraid, But if Nintendo knows that, you think Nintendo couldn't go to Capcom and say, okay, you can't release this game. Can't you make another one? That for a similar thing?
That they're not doing this because I think that they are. I think that there's going to be a Monster Hunter 5 Portable G or something, or Monster Hunter Nintendo Switch Edition new thing. I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen. You're sitting there saying that you're upset because you didn't get an announcement. I think what this comes down to is that you're upset that they didn't get an announcement. You know that it's you
I'm
feel
not
that
upset. I'm just saying it's an argument.
You feel that it's going to happen, but you're upset that they got this before we did. That's what it seems.
No, I'm not upset that they got this before we did. What bothers me is that we got Double Cross at 3D as an old 3DS port that is not even going to be reskinned or anything. It's going to be uprest or whatever, and they got an actual Monster Hunter.
Okay,
that is the problem.
But Nintendo, that's the thing. That game has been in development for a long time. Nintendo systems have been getting main Monster Hunters on the 3DS. So it's not like, oh, well, we get crap and they get this great game. We've been getting exclusive Monster Hunters for how many years now? And nobody else has been getting, well, they've been getting some. There's been some PSP remasters.
Okay.
Monster Hunter 4, Monster Hunter 3, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. We've been getting all the main ones. Nintendo releases their new system. Capcom is being money hungry, obviously, and releasing a port to make money. And they could easily be making a brand new Monster Hunter that we're going to get. Your biggest thing is we get Double Cross and they get this game when we've been getting Monster Hunter games and they haven't been getting. There's been nothing on there.
The issue with this is that Monster Hunter, you have to agree, is an actual. It is a system seller. Okay, so Double Cross comes, everybody in Japan goes loopy, but now everybody sees. Wait a minute. Why am I buying a game that I already have on my 3DS when this new thing is going to come out? It is going to cut off. It literally dethroned Monster Hunter as a Switch system seller, and the thing is, Nintendo has to sell the
speculation.
Switch. And Monster Hunter Double Cross doesn't do it.
That's speculation because that game doesn't come out till 2018. Japanese gamers like portable systems. Double Cross could easily sell more than Monster Hunter World in Japan. It could easily do it. Capcom is a Capcom. Let me tell you something about Capcom, bro. Capcom is a money-grubbing, port-happy studio. Which this is fine. Lots of companies are that. That's fine. We're getting a Shadow of the Colossus. We're 5 years into the PS4. We're getting Shadow of the Colossus remake, not a new one. Remake of the original. Looks great, but still remake. Okay, so all these companies do this stuff. Yes, Capcom is going to release. They've been doing this forever. They've been releasing multiple versions. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, Monster Hunter 4, Generations 2, Generations Double. Capcom has been doing this for a long time. Why are you like, oh my gosh, this is happening to us? They've been doing this forever.
I'm being like this because people used to claim third-party support is finally here. We're getting all this shit. Capcom is there. Nintendo's like, oh, Capcom is helping with the development of the Switch. It's going to be this amazing thing. Capcom's like, make it bigger and stuff. And we got Street Fighter, a port. And then we got XX, a port. And we're not getting an actual thing. That is the problem.
Yes, third-party developers make ports for systems sometimes before they make new games. Yes, this is something that's happened
But that is,
on all systems.
but that doesn't. There is a new game.
Yes, that's been in development. That's been in development. And see this thing, you are ignoring all of the new games that we got on Nintendo systems. That's what I'm saying. Like you're saying, oh well, they're getting a new game, but we're getting a port. We've been getting Monster Hunter mainline games. We got a mainline Monster Hunter on the Wii. We got mainline Monster Hunters on the Wii. Even on the Wii, well, as a port, but whatever. We got mainline Monster Hunter on Nintendo 3DS. So you're saying, oh well, they're getting this. We got mainline games, and we got ports. We got both. So I don't see why you're upset because we're getting double port. But we've already got mainline games. So that's the thing. Like it seems like you're ungrateful for the mainline games that we've already gotten in the past because they're getting.
No,
they're getting
you keep saying the past doesn't matter. It's about this now. The fact is, like I said, Capcom pledged support. People say support. Access Double Cross is coming, but thing is not. That is the thing. In fact, that all these companies that you can claim support, that are not there. That is the issue.
It takes time to make a new Monster Hunter.
Yes,
for
they've been doing
Switch.
this for 6 fucking years. You said you have the dev kits already, and nothing even. We keep coming back to this point
Monster Hunter. Look how much time it took before Monster Hunter's coming out on the PS4. They've been working on this game for a long time. This isn't something that
they couldn't have been working the exact same time on something else.
They were working on 3DS mainline Monster Hunter games. We got Monster Hunter 4. They were working on stuff in the same amount of time. Monster Hunter 4 came out in that same time period, right? Monster Hunter 4
but that is not the issue. We're talking about the Switch.
Okay, and the Switch is new. The Switch is new. We're not talking about a system that came out. We're not talking about a system. Look, if the Switch came out in 2013, I see what you're saying. If the Switch came out in 2013 and PS4 and Xbox One are getting this Monster Hunter World and the Switch isn't getting it, then I'd see your point. But the Switch isn't as old as PS4 and Xbox One. It's new.
The age of the system doesn't matter with the type of games it gets. It's not like, oh, we have to wait 3 years.
No, it does matter. You're sitting here and saying, oh, they're getting a new game and all that. When we've been getting new games we got Monster Hunter 4. We got that. We got the mainline game.
I don't care about that. I don't care the fact that they are getting it. I love it that they're getting it. The problem is that the Switch is not getting it.
It's new. It just launched.
Why does that matter?
It does matter.
We're getting games.
It does matter. Yes, it matters. Yes, it matters. The fact that the Switch is a new system matters.
You said because the system is new, that is why we're not getting the game?
We're not getting it at the same time. We haven't got an announcement yet because it's new. They still need to make it. They're still in the process of probably
if they've been making it for so many years and Nintendo knows it and they've been working so close on the Switch. They've been working with Capcom on the Switch.
I didn't say that they're making it for so many years.
The dev kits, they already knew this was coming.
You're making speculation. Nobody said
that. Speculation. We know saying that they've been working with Capcom on the Switch.
But that doesn't mean they had a Monster Hunter game in development for the Switch while they've been working on it. You have to work on the system. You get a final dev kit, then you can make a game. From what I understand, developers got kits maybe as late as 2015, maybe 2016. Monster Hunter World's been in development since 2013. Games aren't made overnight, bro. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what.
No, that is exactly my argument. They're not made overnight. It takes a long time.
So then wait for the announcement then. So then stop being upset that you're not getting one right now, and then wait for them to announce it. If games take a long time and you know that
you keep saying that we're not getting it. I told you it's about the fact that you keep making. It's like you don't want to listen. You keep making me repeat the exact same lines. So everybody's getting bored of that.
Your logic is weird.
The problem is not that we're not getting it. It's the fact that they're getting a Monster Hunter, and we're getting a shitty port. That is the issue. If it's been this long already, there's no need for the fact that it's a shitty port. What, do you think Nintendo took 1 year to make Breath of the Wild quickly for the Switch or something? No, that has also been a decision they took in advance. And that same decision could have been in the world.
And see, that's what you don't understand. You're trying to tell me that I'm not listening to you. But my problem with your logic is that you don't understand, or you don't care, or you don't realize that the Switch is a new system. So why would we get a new game at the same time that this game has been in development since 2013? Double Cross is a shitty port. It's quick. This game has been in development before the Switch was even a thing. Yet you're saying, well, we're getting a stupid port, but they're getting this brand new game. Even though that game was in development for this many years, we're not getting this.
You think this port took them 2 months to make?
Your logic is not okay. Then look, I understand what you're trying to say, but your logic is flawed. Your logic is flawed because the Switch is a new system, yet you're comparing it to a game that's been in development for a very long time. You don't understand. Either you don't understand development, or you just don't willing to listen.
Games.
You're sitting here crying that you're not getting that. We're getting the crappy port, which is it's a port. It's done quickly. You're comparing that to a game that's been in development before the Switch was even a thing. Do you understand the flaw in that argument, that you're comparing a game that's been in development on systems that have been around way longer than the Switch? You're comparing that to this. This is very different. If the PS4 and Xbox One came out in 2016, they probably wouldn't be getting Monster Hunter World. They wouldn't be getting Monster Hunter World in 2018. They'd still be in development. They're not going to be getting it. And that's my issue with this argument, is that you're comparing a port that's relatively quick from a game that's already been out compared to a game that's been in development since 2013 before the Switch was even a thing. That's my problem. And if you think that that's good logic, that's fine. Fine.
The game.
I don't think it's good logic. That's horrible logic.
I'm not saying it's the same type of game, but the game fucking launched with Bomberman, for example, a brand new game. That didn't take them a year to make. That took them a long time to make. They knew that was coming.
It was made in Unity. I don't know how long it took them to make. I don't think it took them that long to make that game.
I'm pretty sure they didn't make it in a year.
I'm pretty sure it was near around that time, based on how it launched. Based on how it launched, I'm pretty sure it didn't take them much more than a year or so to make that game. It's an established IP. You already have assets. I don't know, for anything, they could have already had the assets there. They built it in Unity. It's not a super custom engine or anything that they made. It launched within 1080p.
Just an example. What I mean is that it doesn't matter. Like third-party games, new things or exclusive, they can launch with a system. The fact that it's like the end of the year or whatever, or whenever the world is coming out, the fact that they had the Switch, that's what I keep saying. They had the Dev Kit for over a year. Capcom knew before that already that was coming. They had time by now to, even if they wanted to make it, to address it. And that's what I keep saying. Nothing has been addressed for anybody, even for confirmed games. Like I said, when is the last time you heard about Dragon Quest XI for the Switch?
Yeah,
I think the only time we heard about that.
Obviously later in development, because the PS4 and 3DS versions obviously have been in development way longer than the Switch version. So they're not talking about the Switch version. Maybe it's not ready. They still need to optimize it. Whatever the case is, they're not talking about it as much because the PS4 and 3DS have been out longer. If you're upset that, they're not talking about my games, then that's you. I think you're upset about that. But
I'm
the
not
Switch
a big Monster Hunter fan. I keep saying it is not my games. We're talking about third party in general. I'm not talking from a first person perspective here.
And I'm telling you, Switch is new. Switch is new. The plan for Switch, what Nintendo's doing, first-party games, drive the install base. Maybe we get more announcements later. Maybe we do. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that. Maybe we do. I think third-party developers want to see install base. That's what I think.
I guess that's what I think. Time, it is just like we had this debate to clear up everything and to talk about it. I think we're just going in circles. I think the main thought in the end is that we're going to have to wait. And then next year, I would love to have this debate again, and then we can see. Because it's just, you keep bringing up your points, I keep bringing up my points, but it's like nobody's listening. We just keep repeating what we.
I listened to your point. I listened to your point, and I addressed it. You are comparing your main point was you're upset or whatever. Not you're upset, but this sucks because we're getting a crappy port compared to their Monster Hunter World. Was that not your exact words?
Yes, but again, like previously before, we've been focusing on singular games that are part of the bigger picture. This is another example.
But don't tell me that I'm not listening. Though. I listened, I addressed your point, and I said that it's silly to compare a quick port to systems that are older, that have been in development before the Switch is even a thing. I said that's silly to do that. And I think that, yes, it's very silly to compare a quick port to a brand new system to say, why aren't we getting this when that game has already been in development before Switch was even a freaking thing? Yes, I think that's silly. I addressed your point, though. That's
what I'm saying. With Nintendo reaching out to people, they could have gone to other parties to talk about this shit, which what they have done with some parties. But okay. So then why not for Monster Hunter? So, that is my thing.
Like I said, and that's what I'm saying. You're not listening to me. The plan probably for Nintendo was like, let's build the install base.
But
that was probably the plan. Who releases 11 first-party games in 1 year? Not even 1 year. In 9 months. Who does that? Nintendo's never even done that. Who the hell does that? Obviously, Nintendo's really trying to push a point home of first-party content by our system. That's what they're trying to push. I think that they talked to third parties about that. Otherwise, maybe they would have tried the same strategy Wii U had. No first-party games or very few first-party games, and let's hope and pray that the system sells and these third-party games sell. It didn't work with Wii U, so they tried a different strategy. That's the strategy that they're doing. Will it work? Maybe. It's looking like it's working. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So you're not going to get all these announcements that you're hoping for and that you're wishing for, that you're praying for. Nintendo is simply trying to drive the install base, what I think, based on what we're seeing, because this is unprecedented for someone to release this many first-party games in 9 months. Nobody does this. This is obviously a plan. This is not something that they thought of, you know, I bet third parties abandon us. Let's just release 12 games. Let's see what happens. I'm pretty sure they talked to third parties and said, hey, well, what should we do? Like, what do you guys think? That's why Reggie even said in the interview, third-party developers want to see a base. Obviously, they were probably talking to them like, okay, well, maybe we can put some games here and there, but, you know, our games generally don't sell very well up against you guys' games. Like, you know, maybe if we had more of them based on to sell to, we can have, you know, more games on there. So I understand that you and many other people are upset with the amount, you know what I'm saying, of what's going on. But I'm just simply telling you, this is what's happening.
Those terms, but it's not that I'm upset. It is that I'm confused with the fact that at E3 there was nothing.
Well, you know what? I told you look. That's why you should listen to me, RetroDeath. I told you the reasons. Don't be confused. I explained it very clearly to you.
Yes, you talk about the future.
Don't be confused. I explained it. And look, like I said, I'm not lying. Like, I mean, if you don't want to trust me, that's fine. You don't want to trust me. But I've been to E3 3 years. I talked to these developers. I've spoken to other people that are.
You keep saying that. That is irrelevant to what we're talking about now.
No, it's very relevant. Because you said that you're confused why we're not getting announcements. And I'm telling you the reason why we didn't get announcements. I'm telling you the reason why.
But that's what I know. Dude, it is not just about the announcements. It's about support in general. I keep bringing this up. There was, like I said, for FIFA, there was not even a logo there. It is not just about what might still come. It's about what is coming now and shit. There is just like, dude, did you see, for example, NBA wasn't even at
well, Activision
at E3.
Does Activision even go to E3? I don't think Activision even goes.
You don't need to go to E3 to show something. You could
they show NBA 2K
with Nintendo.
Did they show NBA 2K18 at all though?
You know what my biggest issue was?
They didn't show the game at all. Did they?
That Nintendo didn't even have, when they had their presentation, that there was no, I guess that sums it up best, that there was no E3, no third-party segment. There was nothing there. They didn't show anything that might come, that might entice people. If Nintendo could...
they showed Rocket League. So...
Yeah, no, they showed 2 games. Yeah, I know, but I mean, they didn't have a third party. They could have easily had a third-party segment that would have showed FIFA, that would have showed the NBA game, that would have showed Rocket League in there, for example. That would have showed...
Okay, so you're upset with it. And I'm not arguing. That's fine. If you want to be upset with that they didn't show the third party, like the way that they're handling it, that's fine. But that's not the focus of this year.
That is the main issue.
That's not the focus of this year. But I'm telling you, that's not the focus of. That's not their plan.
But it doesn't need to be, dude. It doesn't need to be out this year. What Nintendo did this year was crazy. What they always do, they show games for this year, yes. But that is not just what E3 is about. Everybody else, apart from here and there, they showed 2018 games. And further, E3, they show games that might be coming, that are in development.
Well, that's your opinion. Okay, well then you're upset.
Even Nintendo, they showed Metroid and Pokemon and that kind of stuff.
That doesn't change the fact as far as what their plan goes and the reason why these announcements aren't happening. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can be confused, but that doesn't change the fact that what's happening.
It's about the future. It's about what you want. And if you want the install base to be there because you want third parties to come, you should show people already that third parties are coming.
That's the third parties don't want to make their announcements, or they haven't necessarily committed to it at this point. Then, if that's the case, then
that's what I say. Even the games we know are coming are not being shown. Like
there's very few.
There was no the NBA game.
They showed FIFA. They showed FIFA. They showed Rocket League. They showed. Didn't they show
FIFA on like the show floor or something? I still
they showed in their 26-minute
presentation on the Switch.
In their 20-something minute presentation, they showed someone kicking a ball. I'm pretty sure that they showed FIFA.
What the fuck? Yeah, they showed somebody kicking a ball. Like, come on.
Whatever. They showed it. You're saying that they didn't, but they did. I mean, like, are you mad that they didn't show it enough? Like, do you want them to show it for like 5 minutes or like what?
No, but it is like, that's what I said. Like, EA didn't show it there.
So you're mad that Nintendo didn't show it enough and that EA didn't show the FIFA that.
No, it's so tiring talking with you always. Now you're lumping shit in separate categories again. It is about support in general. This whole conversation, everything we've been talking about, Assassin's Creed, Monster Hunter, all that shit, all third party. It's about the whole image that we're talking about. So don't focus on one thing. Again, it's about everything. The third-party support in general isn't there, and that's not something
I
you can deny.
agree with you. I agree with you that, and which I've said multiple times, I agree with you that third-party support from a lot of these Western companies, these big developers, is not there for whatever, if it's planned or whether it's not. It's not there. Nintendo has their first-party games, and they want to drive the install base, and hopefully these third-party developers come on board. I understand that you think that the third-party support's that there. I understand that other people are upset with that. That's not something I'm arguing. The reason why I'm not arguing that is because I already told you that's going to happen back in January when you watch my video. So I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. What I'm trying to say is that this is the strategy that they're going with, and this strategy is working. And that's what people get riled up when I say that. You don't want third-party support? No. I'm telling you the strategy that is working, because Wii U had all this stuff that you're talking about at the E3s and at the conferences or whatever the case is. They had the Call of Duties, they had the Assassin's Creed, and it flopped. It didn't work. So they are trying
the way this is going,
and the strategy that they're doing is working. So you can just say, okay, well, I hope it works out for the best, or you can continue complaining. But whatever the case is, what matters is that the Wii U is getting bodied right now by the Nintendo Switch without all this third-party support that people are clamoring for. It's getting bodied by it, okay? It's about to pretty much outsell its first year in the first few months. It might outsell the whole thing by the end of next year, easily. It might, by the mid next year, might outsell the Wii U. So whatever upset that you are, the strategy that Nintendo's doing with applying first-party games in order to build the install base is working. And you guys...
But that's the thing. I never said it didn't. I agree there. I agree it's working. I agree it's selling. I agree the first party is better than it has ever been in the first year. But like I said, if that is my problem, that is my main problem. If everybody keeps waiting for an install base, then once you install, but let's say like next year, let's just say at the end of next year, there are 20 million, okay? And then they're there. And then people are going, oh, wait a minute. This is starting to look nice. Maybe now we can start. But by that time, if then they start with all this shit, then they start making a game, it's going to take even longer. By the time we get standard shit like Call of Duty, the Switch is already gone again.
Well, we don't know about that. I mean, we need to wait and see what deals that they're going to be working out for this year. Obviously, this year is not done yet. Maybe they're working out deals for E3 next year. Maybe there's announcements then. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. What we do know at this point is that it's doing well, that it needs to continue to do well, and they need to continue to drive it with the first-party content that's coming out. I understand, like I said, I completely understand that you're worried about it just not getting anything, because then it's going to take even longer. But maybe they already have that set in motion. Maybe that's something that they're working on at this point, as far as getting more deals like they did with Bethesda and Skyrim, like they did with EA, like they did with NBA 2K, whatever the case is, Rocket League dudes. Maybe that they're going to have some of that for next year as well, as far as announcements go. Maybe we get some surprise announcements from Bandai Namco with Dragon Ball Fighters Z. Maybe we get some of that stuff because of the sales. The one thing that I'm trying to say to tell people to make sure that you take at home is this, is look at the sales. You got to look at the sales. You got to look at the sales of what's happened before. You can't, because a lot of people are closing their eyes and just saying, blah, blah, blah. Wii U's different. I don't care what happened with Wii U. That's different. Like, a lot of people are doing that, okay? Even somewhat, even you at some point, you're kind of just saying, well, I don't care what happened with Wii U. This is something new. This is different. It's selling down. Doesn't work out like that. Third-party developers aren't seeing it like that. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. All of you Nintendo YouTubers that are out there making videos saying this logic doesn't work. Well, what happens we're not going to get games later? Dude, this is what's happening right now. Third-party developers are not seeing it the way that you're seeing it. Clearly, there is a disconnect between us, right? So there's a disconnect between us and third-party developers. So that's what I'm trying to tell some of the Nintendo YouTubers out there. If you're going to be upset that you have to wait, then okay, be upset that you have to wait. I mean, that sucks. Everyone, you know what I'm saying? But don't expect everything to come, because there's clearly a disconnect between third-party developers and what they think Nintendo fans want and what they think it will sell. Because the minute something flops, you know what I'm saying, and then you get multiple flops, you get Call of Duty flopping, which is probably the biggest offender, which out of my estimations, as far as what I've talked to, the fact third-party developers, the fact that Call of Duty flopped on the Wii U really upset some people, because they felt that there was a decent amount of effort in the Call of Duty games in order for those to sell well. So when that flops, that really puts a damper on the industry as far as the third-party support in whole, because it's like, man, Call of Duty flopped? Man, my game's not as popular as Call of Duty, man. We're not running multiplayer in 60 frames per second. We don't have all the features that Call of Duty had on the Wii U. what about my game? Man, my game might flop too. So that's the thing. People look at the other stuff, and that's the problem that the Wii U had, and that's what's directly influencing what's going on right now. They're looking at them and say, man, Call of Duty flopped. Man, these games flopped. Man, Assassin's Creed 4 flopped. We thought we put out a pretty good. We made improvements. It sold less than the crappy version. Like the Wii U had a bigger install base. It sold less. So I mean, you've got to look at it, and Ubisoft's probably scratching their head at that one, right? I mean, you got to be able to see that at least, can't you?
Yeah, of course. I'll never disagree with that. Like I said, because that's the thing. Because it needs to be said again to you, I think, that I personally don't care. You know, I have a PC. I get my third parties there. I'm with you. What I wanted to see on the Wii U was those RPGs, all that shit. I wanted the Tales of shit, you know, all that kind of stuff. That is what I wanted. And I know we're getting that. And I know we're getting the first party. And for the rest, I have a PC. But the thing is, like I said, is that people claim support and they wanted the support. And the support is just not there as much as it should be.
And like I said, I agree there. The reason why this, well, as it should be, I don't know if I necessarily agree as it should be, because the system hasn't necessarily, what does the system prove? The system is not proved any. It's not a proven system at this point. It's selling well, but it's still not over 10 million. It's still not at 20 million. Hasn't proved any. It hasn't proved a lot. It needs to prove that it can sell, and then it needs to prove. I mean, if Bomberman can sell over 1 million at some point, that's going to be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if FIFA, you know, they're going to be looking at these sales. Like, if FIFA and NBA 2K, if those are competent ports, and Skyrim, well, maybe not as much Skyrim because that's published by Nintendo, but if EA is publishing FIFA and FIFA doesn't sell as well, they're going to be looking at that. I mean, they said that today. You know what I'm saying? Like, they said that today. They're not going to have good faith in the Nintendo community. They're not just going to just blindly put things on there because it's selling well right now. You know what I'm saying? They say, hey, we're going to continue to monitor sales. They're very shrewd. They're not as open-ended as you would like them to be.
And then you get that asinine thing that we keep mentioning, is like, then you get the same thing where people take, like, for example, the shitty Wii U ports, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, people aren't buying our shitty ports, so why would we still be there? And that is the thing, is like third parties also have to put in the effort to actually make it work, and that is what I keep bringing up, is they're not doing that.
They did on Wii U a bit. They did on Wii U a bit. Now I agree that some of them were crappy, but the big games that you're talking about, that you're saying like the standard third party support, always goes back to the standard. Yes, Assassin's Creed 3. You know what I'm saying? Even though you said where's Assassin's Creed and you liked it on the Wii U, it plays like crap in my opinion, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's what you said earlier. You said it plays like crap because it ran at like 20 frames per second. But dude,
16.
Even Breath of the Wild at points it dipped at like what 10 or some shit like that before they patched it up and everything.
Not 10 frames per second.
Yeah, it came pretty close.
No, not 10. Not definitely. I know. It's at some point like it froze and then like
got back. Every time you were in the fucking Korok Forest or something, it was like a slideshow.
20 something frames, like 20 frames per second.
In battle sometimes, but the Korok Forest, dude, that was not.
But you're not really battling a lot there, and like I said with Zelda's just overall just a better game than Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
but
that's a different debate.
It's a better game, but also the problem with that, as far as with Assassin's Creed compared to Zelda runs a lot. As far as Assassin's Creed 3, Zelda runs a lot better for more times from what I've seen. And not only that, but they patched it quickly. They started releasing patches. They released more patches to get it even stable. And right now, it's pretty much running. It runs a lot better than Assassin's Creed did. They never fixed Assassin's Creed. They never fixed it, from what I understand.
The problem of the Wii U, people they actually stopped giving a fuck.
But then they fixed it in the next year's version. Assassin's Creed Black Flag doesn't run as good as like PS4, Xbox One, right? But it runs a lot better than that. And I was expecting that game to sell. I was like, okay, well, yeah, like, you know, they fixed it. And it sold less.
I was surprised by that too.
Yeah, and it sold less. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that right there really pissed off. I wouldn't say pissed off, but that right there really made Ubisoft like, okay, hold up here, because we actually put time into this one. And same goes for Call of Duty. I mean, Call of Duty Ghosts just wasn't very good at all. But, I mean, it was just, Call of Duty Ghosts just wasn't good. But Black Ops 2 was good, and Ghost was there, and they were competent. They weren't the best, but they were competent. It should sell more than 500,000 units. Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't sell at least 500,000, and it needs to do more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it needs to have that. And that's what I'm saying. That's the reason why we're not getting the standard support, and you shouldn't have expected it.
I think the main thing with the Wii U is that because third parties stopped caring, it's like the gamers stopped caring. They just started focusing on the first party shit, because if when the gamers learned that have good shitty ports. It's like, why should they stick with the companies if that's what they're gonna release, and then they're just not gonna look at the next Assassin's Creed if the one they released was the shitty port like that? That's what you get then.
Yeah,
like, it works both ways.
Yeah, it works both ways for Microsoft and Sony as well too. Right? Sometimes they release a crappy game. I mean, I think like Battlefield 4 barely even worked. But it's still sold. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we're not on equal footing. That's why I put on there. We're not on equal footing because Nintendo fans in general can be smarter and will not spend their money on that. But in general, like, the companies are looking, they're saying, okay, well, if we fix it, we expect you to buy it. Like, if we fix it, if it works, then we expect you to buy it. Maybe Nintendo fans don't keep up to that same standard, but if you want third-party support, there has to be give and take. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be give and take. Everything's never going to be perfect in these Western games because they never are, even on PS4 and Xbox One. They don't get these, in my opinion at least, they don't get these amazingly perfectly running games that are just so great. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a ton of PS4 and Xbox One games. I'm like, these are kind of garbage. Some of them are just straight. They just don't play good. They're just not very fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just like, well, I don't know why anybody would even want this on a Nintendo Switch. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my opinion. That's my opinion on there. But if you want this stuff, if you want this is what's happening. Need for Speed should have sold more. Apparently, that was a very good port. I know I played it a bit and then I returned it. I didn't like it, but I know Need for Speed was there. That should have been better. It was a little bit after launch. I think it was about 3 months after launch or something like that, 3 or 4 months. But it was still there. They took some extra time to make it a quality game. That's the thing. That's another problem. That's another problem, RetroDeath. They take the time to actually make it a quality game. They don't want to rush out a port, right? The guys came back from Need for Speed team back when they had it there. They came back from Christmas break. They're like, okay, well, let's work on the Wii U version. Let's get a good port. They didn't rush it out there. They finished the PS4 or the PS3, Xbox 360. Said let's get out a good port. They released Need for Speed on the Wii U, and then it sells like trash. And they're like, and all the months they've been working on it. Think about that. If you're working on this game and like you've been working hard, you want to get a good port out there. You're porting from a different architecture. You put it out there like, yeah, this is going to do well. The Wii U, like they're looking for this stuff. We hear fans cries, and then they put it out there that nobody buys it. And you're like, why did we do all that? Think about if you're working on the game and you put on all, because like making games is not easy, and you put in all your effort, and then the fan base just says no. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I definitely agree. It's the moralizer. You get the exact same thing I always feel when you had it with Street Fighter and Bomberman when they get released, and then people are like, I don't want to pay $50 for this. I'll give you $20, and I agree, because then I'm like, yeah, but these devs, they work on this. They need money. They work hard on this. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that argument that the work has to be taken into account that what's in there, and it must have been a big blow. So I do agree. But the thing is, if it doesn't work, you try harder. Like, take, for example, Battlefront. Battlefront, that was horrible, the first game. But they didn't think like, oh, we'll do less now. No, they went all fucking out with the new game. And that's what you're kind of expecting.
Because it sold. If Battlefront didn't sell, I mean, we would probably get another one. But would they have synced as much money into it? Probably not.
Yeah,
a lot of times...
You just get the magical jump thing down again. I mean, it is still Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. It's still Star Wars, but I mean,
it might not have been the best example, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean, but it's a business though. Like, if you make a lot of money in something, you can sink more money into something. So, like, if you make $500 million on a game or whatever the case is, the next game is probably going to be a lot better than the first game for the most part. I mean, you can put more money into it. You can hire more programmers, more developers. You can hire more. You can usually get something that's better. That's what I'm trying to say. When you don't get that support, you can't try harder because that monetary value isn't there. So that's what's happened with the Wii U. The monetary value, yes, they bailed kind of early. Yes, I wish they would have stayed a little bit longer, but the monetary value wasn't there. It just didn't work. So, to kind of just, I guess, because like you said, we've been kind of just going back and forth, but I think we got a better understanding of what's going on here. I think the thing that my point that I clearly made across was that these games, this is directly like affecting. I've seen a lot of people that are trying to deflect this list that I give them. They try to say, oh, well, this is different. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I said, prominent YouTubers with thousands of subscribers try to say, oh, well, this is different. Oh, well, that was that. Like, stop deflecting the list. Own up to it. Say, okay, yeah, these didn't sell. That's the reason why. That's what I want. That's what I would like to hear from these content creators that are attacking me and that are going after me and that are putting posts. I would like to hear you guys say, okay, yeah, that affected what's going on. You can admit it because it's true. It's the truth. Just admit it, own up to it. And that's why I posted this damn list so many times, and damn near everyone avoided it. All these people that were saying, all of them avoided it. They don't want to talk about the list, or they want to just say, oh, well, they're all shitty ports.
That was the main thing I actually wanted to talk about the list, because I'm not gonna avoid it. But that's what like I've been following you like since like Furious Francis days and shit. Like I don't let shit go. So I really wanted to come in this debate to talk about a fucking list.
I'm telling you, this list is for real, man. I'm telling you, the list is for real.
Yes, I'm not going to go back into it. Like, you can just re-listen to it. I've made my points about it.
The list is for real, bro. There's some crappy ports on here. I see your point. There's some crappy ports on here, but there's some very good ports on here that didn't sell. That's at the end of the day, that's what's going on. Assassin's Creed 4, Call of Duty, Need for Speed, those were all good as far as the second versions or the first versions, whatever the case was, and those didn't sell. That directly affects third-party support. Plain and simple. That's exactly what's going on here, man. I mean, that's the truth. It's just the truth. I'm trying to give you the truth, and everyone out there. I'm sorry if you guys don't believe me, or if you're said that your company is not your favorite piece of plastic isn't getting your games. But if you want to be progressive, you want to move towards the future, you want to make sure that the Switch gets support, buy the third-party games. Like Rocket League needs to sell. If Rocket League doesn't sell, then
Rocket League is an incredible game that is going to sell automatically.
It better sell. Rocket League better sell, because I'm telling you right now, if Rocket League doesn't sell with a $20 price point, exclusive content, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem going forward.
I mean, with Rocket League, for example, I have it on my PC. I have hours in it already. Like, it's insane. And even me, I want to double dip because of the fact that the Switch can go everywhere. And that is something that I feel that third parties keep missing the point on. That is the reason why the games will already do better, and that's what I said, because PC gamers, like, they see this portable aspect, and that by itself is why the Switch is working. But yeah, if nobody brings it, then you can't see that work. Trust me, Rocket League is gonna sell like crazy.
Rocket League and those type of games, like, they work for the system, but it's not as simple as just especially with Nintendo and the dev kits. Maybe if Nintendo got dev kits out earlier, maybe if they got dev kits for some reason, they got dev kits like 2 or 3 years before the release of the system, maybe we'd see more. But unfortunately, companies they just don't treat us the same. They don't look at us as the same priority, and they're willing to wait to see what will happen. The unfortunate side effect of the Wii U flopping. If the Wii U game sales did better, I can guarantee you we would have. If Call of Duty sold 3-4 million, I can guarantee you we had Call of Duty. Call of Duty came to the Wii U because the Wii version did good, right? So I guess to your point about like the Wii, well, why do you think the Wii U got Call of Duty? Maybe because it did so well on the Wii. Maybe because Activision saw those sales and said, okay, yeah, we can work with that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but that's why everybody came to the Wii. That's why I hate the Wii. Is my least favorite system, because everybody saw, wait, there's something to sell. So you got all these companies that did like minimum effort to quickly release their shit on there, and it not just shovelware like AAA games and shit. There was just so many. You have, for example, Harvest Moon. It's a giant game. Harvest Moon is a pretty big franchise, and you got Harvest Moon on the Wii that had less content than on the GameCube. I played both versions. You had less characters, less options. That's what I said. Like, the Wii is a weird example when it comes to that, because people started doing less effort because of that.
Okay. But from what I understand, the Call of Duty games were pretty full. I mean, I played Call of Duty, I think Black Ops. It's pretty full for what the Wii was. I mean, it was pretty not bad. Definitely not my ideal version to play.
I'm not saying all games were bad, but I just mean, like, the Wii is a weird case. Like,
minimal effort from a lot of different developers. But I would say this, like with Nintendo Switch, if the Nintendo Switch happens to sell, I mean, the Wii, we didn't have to really port beg for anything. Games just came. I mean, whether they are crappy or not, like games like Mirror Moss of the Demon Blade, Red Steel 2. I mean, we weren't like, oh, give us Red Steel, Ubisoft. They just like, hey, here's Red Steel, here's Red Steel.
Yeah, but the first Red Steel was pretty terrible, though.
Yeah, so it was horrible, but it had a fantastic concept, though. And then they made it.
Nobody saw it when it made 2, and it was actually really good.
Yeah, and then nobody bought 2, which was unfortunate, because 2 is really good. So I mean, like I said, it's a weird balance, right, with this third-party stuff, and that's why I'm saying we're not seen on equal footing. Whereas PS4 and Xbox One, Sony, Microsoft, it seems like they just buy. The game sucks, they buy it. The game doesn't suck, they buy it. The game's kind of good, they buy it. It's not very good, they buy it. It's really, really good, they buy it a lot. So I mean, that's the difference between Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft. No matter if it's good or not, for the most part, with the main franchises, they buy it. I think Assassin's Creed is so bad. I do not think Assassin's Creed is a good franchise, but people run out in droves to buy this crap. And I think Assassin's Creed is horrible. I really don't think it's a good game at all. And people just rush out to buy Assassin's Creed. So, to each their own, right? So, and that's what I'm saying. Whereas Nintendo fans are looking at Assassin's Creed and probably thinking, this isn't very good. That's just my opinion. I think Nintendo fans saw Black Flag, even though if it ran well, they're like, Assassin's Creed is just not a very good game. And I think, that's what I think. That's the reason why I didn't sell. At least that's just my personal opinion on that. Batman, I know the Batman games didn't run as good, but the Batman games sold like trash too. I know a lot of Nintendo fans were waiting for Deus Ex, Human Revolution. That was late. Didn't run as well.
I don't like those games too much.
That didn't sell either. That sold really bad. And it was
Batman, I like it. I mean, Deus Ex, I don't like that game at all.
Yeah, Deus Ex. I mean, it was completely customized for the Wii U gamepad, right? So they took their time.
Yeah, but they did it with Batman too, and they did it pretty good with that one.
Yeah, but it didn't sell either. I mean,
yeah.
So I mean, and not only that, but Batman, it's like the frame rate sometimes was not the best. But I mean, it was playable like in the single player and everything. But like sometimes the frame rate wasn't necessarily the best. But they still put it out there. They even did 2 Batmans. They did Batman Arkham Origins. That one sold less than the original Batman. With the bigger install base, that one sold less. In what was it, like 2 years later, whatever the case it was that came out. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but this is the way that it is. RetroDeath. I think this debate was definitely good because you got your point out. I got my points out as far as I'm not trying to damage, because like I said, I've been accused for trying to damage control. I'm not a damage control in anything. This is information. This is stuff that I've put together from multiple times, and that's the reason why I made those videos in January. That was the culmination of like a lot of stuff that I learned. I was like, yeah, Western support's just not going to be there. It's just not. And I like I said, I called that back then. I'm like, you guys are just going to have to deal with it because I didn't just make that up. That wasn't just a guess. That's what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying?
I think we both had specific points that some of them were like in accordance to each other, and other points they were kind of like not even in relation to each other. I think the main thing we have to just remember is that we gotta wait, and when next E3 comes, and we're gonna get the same thing, you and I are definitely gonna have another talk.
If, like I said, but the talk will be focused differently, right? Depending on the sales. If Nintendo is killing it, and I mean killing it as in like, hopefully this component shortage doesn't, completely screw them. I want to see some. I'll be with you. There won't be any against, because I want to see some of it. Like, I think we'll see a little bit more, because even this year, even though everyone claims that we got nothing, we still got like Starlink Battle for Atlas. That's made by the Splinter Cell developers, right? We still got that game. Looks great. That game looks good, and because it's running on Snowdrop engine, so Ubisoft ported over the Snowdrop engine, so we get that type of game.
When you saw Starlink at first, you just saw the landscape. I was like, holy shit, this looks so good. And then it switched, and I was like, oh man, this is not going to come to Switch, but I'm going to get it. I want this. And you see the control, and I'm like, all right, it's coming to the Switch. So it's like I'm saying, it's not like there's no third-party support. We're really talking about, in general, the basic third parties overall. Just
I agree, and I'm telling you, like what I've said, which comes back to me saying that people saying that I'm damage controlling, which is the main issue that I have, is that like, okay, we're seeing the third-party developers if we can get an install base, because that's what I think the plan is, right? Because of, like I said, for first party, nobody releases 11 first-party games in 1 year. That's ridiculous, and Nintendo is doing it. That's a plan. That's not something that you can just conjure up out of nowhere. That's a plan. You've been making these games, they've been in development for a while, and you're releasing them back to back. So obviously it was a plan to do this from the very beginning, and third-party developers know that they can't compete with that, right? I mean, they know they just can't compete with that. Microsoft and Sony, they clear spaces for third-party developers to sell their games.
Microsoft barely makes any games, though.
Well, there you go. They barely make any games, and Sony releases all their games in the first half of 2018, and then first half. All those games, everything that they announced is all coming in the first half of 2018, and then the rest of the year it's all third-party. Which they did that kind of this year too. All their good games came out earlier in the year, like Horizon.
Sony never. I think the last 4 or 5 years they didn't even have a holiday title, which I still don't understand. But
for third parties, because they see Call of Duty, they see exclusive Call of Duty content, they see Destiny's coming out in September. That's the reason why.
That's money for you. If for example they have, God of War coming or something like that, like, I mean, save that for the holidays, but they never really do. It's
that creates bad relationships with third parties.
For example, but it makes no sense to, for example, when you have God of War, and it is done. And then you release it, for example, in January, but release it in December, because God of War is from them. It makes them more money than, for example, have Call of Duty there, because it's not from them. So,
but
they
it goes
just never
back.
do.
But it goes back to the whole third-party relations things. This is what modern third parties want, and what Nintendo isn't willing to do. And that's the reason why that we're not on equal footing. Nintendo is not willing to say, we're not going to release Mario in the holiday season. Nintendo's like, screw you guys. We're going to release Mario and we're going to make a ton of money. This is our game. If you want to release a game at the same time, then release it. Stop being a punk and release the game. You know what I'm saying?
That this year, because Mario is slated for like October. I don't think they have announced anything for the 2 months after that. Now,
that's true. It is slated for October, but Nintendo's always had big holiday games. I mean, I think they have probably Xenoblade or Fire Emblem Warriors is going to come out. Whereas Sony, they're not releasing anything at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sony will completely clear the schedule for third-party developers, like completely, like a whole half year for third-party developers. Nintendo isn't going to do that. Nintendo's going to release, even with the Wii U, they're going to release Smash Brothers. They're going to release Bayonetta. They're going to release all their games when they feel like releasing the games. And if the third-party developers come, they come. If they don't, they don't. But that pisses third-party developers off. Third-party developers want, because there's only a limited amount of money. A lot of people just, they spend their money on all sorts of stuff, so they don't have enough money that they want for video gaming, so they can only buy a game or 2 or 3 games, or they don't have as much. Like, we have a little bit more disposable income, right? Because we can buy the games that we want whenever we want them, whereas not everybody can do that, right? So third-party developers know this. Microsoft and Sony know this. So what Microsoft and Sony do is they clear their schedule for these third-party developers, and third-party developers love them for that. Nintendo won't do that. So therefore, you see some bad relations. I mean, maybe not as much support, whatever the case is. Maybe your game's not going to sell as much. Third-party developers want a clear schedule. Nintendo tried to do that with the Wii U, and it didn't work. So, it's just, I agree with you, though. I agree with you that we should be getting they should have released some of their games in the holiday, or, whatever the case is, but they're not going to do it. They're just not going to. So, was there anything else you wanted to discuss? Because I think we've been going for about, 2.5 hours now.
No, I think I made some notes, like a couple of bullet points, and we talked about everything that I wanted to address. Like I said, it was not necessarily to clear the debate that other people have against you. I still feel like too many people go at you from wrong corners, and I feel the thing that's why people keep doing it lately is because you love replying to people a bit too much. That's why we are here right now where we are, because I don't stop either, that's the thing. But I said what I wanted to say from my perspective of the stuff I wanted to talk about, unrelated from what everybody else is thinking, and I'm good.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that I reiterate that I'm not upset at you, and I know that you know this, but I'm saying this for the fans, so they don't start saying, oh, well, OJ is angry or whatever the case is, because I've already got a little bit of that, at this point from people. I want to reiterate that, and I also want to make sure that I reiterate this, because, I have a lot of people that just say whatever stuff or just put words in my mouth. I want there to be third-party support. I want Nintendo to do the best that they can. I want all that, although I'm just not willing, and I don't think that making angry videos directed at fans, berating fans, telling people that they're damage controlling, I just don't think that's the way to get whatever we want. In the end, that's not the way. Complaining about the fan base and telling them that you're a fanboy, you don't know what you're talking about. Nobody's going to get anything doing that. My whole goal is to make sure that people know that we need to buy the games. You need to change the narrative, be more accepting, and at least try to pick up Rocket League. Like that's the main game that I'll focus on, is Rocket League. Rocket League better sell 1 million units on the Wii or on the Nintendo Switch. Seriously, I want it to sell 1 million. It needs to sell 1 million, and not in 3 years. It needs to sell 1 million as fast as Minecraft sold 1 million. Minecraft already sold 1 million on the Wii U. You know what I'm saying? It sold 1 million quick. That's why I've got another Minecraft on the Nintendo Switch. It needs to sell that fast.
I think it will. It is that popular. It is that good.
Okay.
I honestly think it'll go fast.
So that's what I want. That's what I want to see. That's the narrative that I want to be pushed. I want people to buy the games. We can't do anything about the games that are already in development and they're not coming. There's little that we can do about that. All we can do is continue. If you like the system, promote the system for what's good about it, and buy the third-party games, the few third-party games that we're getting. If you like NBA, don't buy it. If you like Switch and you like NBA, don't buy it on the PS4 and Xbox One and you want more third-party support. Buy it on the Switch. If you like FIFA, give up your journey mode or spend or double dip and buy FIFA because it's a good version on this. From what everyone's saying that played at the EA Play event, FIFA on the Switch is much better than the FIFA that came out on the Wii U. You know what I'm saying? As far as the launch FIFA. So they took some extra time and they put out a good FIFA on there. Buy the FIFA, buy Skyrim. Skyrim has all the DLC. It looks like it's running good. It's the special edition or the enhanced graphics. Buy Skyrim. If we do that, hopefully third-party developers will take notice in addition to the install base. And hopefully Nintendo's working out some more of those deals that they've already worked out this year with these companies. That's what I want to stress to people. I'm not trying to damage control, not trying to do any of that. That's my narrative. That's my goal, because I knew this was already going to happen, and I didn't know the backlash would be as big because I thought the first party games would cover for it. But there's definitely quite a bit of backlash from people just ignoring the first party games, even though the first party games are amazing, and continuing to make angry about third party. So yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what's going to happen. I already knew this was going to happen. So that's my whole goal, and hopefully Nintendo fans can hear what I'm saying and understand why we're not getting it, and realize what to do if you want to get that support. But know one thing, Nintendo fans, life is not fair. Life is not fair, and you are not treated the same as Microsoft and Sony fans. I mean, I'm saying it jokingly, but I'm serious at the same time. You are not treated as the same as them. You are not looked upon as the same as them. So yeah, that's just how it is, man. So it is what it is. But anyway, RetroDeath, I want to thank you for taking the time to come onto the debate, man. I thought it was really good. We had quite a number of viewers in here. I'm pretty sure there's going to be quite the comment section in this one, so that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to go over. Although I think I'm not gonna reply. I might just leave it. Sometimes I just leave emails. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I'm probably just gonna leave this one alone. I'm just gonna leave this one. Sometimes the videos that I make, and I know people are just gonna be like, I just leave it alone. So
the thing is, I think because of what we started doing, I think we created, because of our interactions from months away, I think we created something that there's two clear camps, and both of us have people on our side and against it. And like, even me, people are calling me fanboy because of this shit. Like, they say I hate the Switch. It's like, look at my videos, tell me I hate Nintendo. It's like, come on, give me a break. But that's just what you get. People, it's easy to hate, it's the easiest.
yeah, I agree. I would never say that you hate the Switch, or I would never. Yeah, obviously you don't. You're just looking. From your perspective, you were looking. You want them to make a better effort, and you feel that there's been some inconsistencies when it comes to certain things, certain games. And more of my point. So now I understand you better. Now more of my point is, well, I agree there's been some inconsistencies. I understand, but we have to face the cold reality of what's going on. And this is the reason why it's going on. And that's the reason why I wanted to do this debate, because now I have more of a clear feeling. And hopefully going forward, people on both camps can be like, okay, yeah, like this is it, but we need to face the reality, right? We can have our own personal wants. And I'm not telling people to stop asking for them, but we need to face the reality that the Wii U really screwed us. Like that's the Wii U really screwed us. That's the reality of the situation, is the Wii U just absolutely screwed us in terms of right now. Like the Wii U screwed us. Just developers just really hated the Wii U when it came down to the games, when it came down to the system, when it came down to the low sales. Like everything was just
the marketing. That's still the main thing I blame on the Wii U. That just didn't help at all. But
the marketing
it was still a good system, and it was it had incredible exclusive. It's like, it brought us back shit like Xenoblade and Bayonetta. It did so much good. It's just, it was handled a bit poorly.
Yeah, I've never put so much time into a single console. I think the Super Nintendo maybe, but I've never put more than 1,000 hours into a game outside of maybe like Pokemon, and I put seriously 1,300 hours into Smash Brothers. I've put so much hours into Bayonetta. Like, I don't think the Wii U has like a ton of, it has a lot of great exclusives, but not necessarily for me. But the exclusives that it does have, they're like some of the best games ever. Like Smash Brothers, Bayonetta 2, like Xenoblade. Those are to me like so good. So that's the one thing that I can say about the Wii U, is that some of the exclusives are just some of the. It's worth owning the system regardless. But yeah, we Nintendo fans need to realize the Wii U did screw us, and in order to change what's going on, it's going to take buying the games. It's going to take understanding. It's going to take that even if a game comes out, like let's say a port next year comes out and it's not as good as that, like you can't revolt and not buy it. Like, like you can't do that. Like it's just, unless it's like broken and it doesn't work, but if it works and it's okay, it's like Call of Duty. Maybe it doesn't come with like one DLC pack. You can't say, oh, it's not coming with a DLC pack, I'm not going to buy it, which people did with Call of Duty on the Wii. Like you can't do that. If Nintendo is your favorite system, you cannot do that, because there's exclusive stuff that doesn't come to Xbox with Call of Duty this year. Are Call of Duty fans, are Xbox fans not going to buy the game? Is it going to sell under 1 million units on Xbox? Of course not. It's still going to sell a lot. So, like there's always exclusive stuff and stuff that comes to one system over another. Heck, the Xbox 360 always had versions of games that run better than the PS3. If the PS3 would still sell the version, like it would still sell, and there was versions that clearly ran better on Xbox, yet the PS3 version still sold. Bayonetta runs like absolute trash on the PS3. And like the Xbox 360 version is so much better, and the PS3 version outsold the Xbox 360 version, Bayonetta. So there has to be some give and take. So hopefully fans can understand that. I'm hoping that developers, to Mark, to your point, RetroDeath, I'm hoping developers put real effort into their games that do come, that we get that same effort. And hopefully we can change the narrative. I don't know if it will, but man, I'm hoping, dude. I'm really hoping. So, thanks for coming out, guys. I do appreciate it. This was a pretty long debate. I think it was good, though. I think there was a lot of good discussion back and forth. Make sure you check out RetroDeath's channel. I'll have a link to that. I think he just crossed 2K, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. That's hard. First of all, it's hard to even get 1,000 subscribers, even to get 500 or 600. It's hard for the type of videos that me and Retro do. You know, it's so crowded on YouTube. So
yeah,
congrats on crossing that. So check out his channel. Please subscribe if you're into heavy metal and long hair, please, and video games. Please subscribe to his channel, because it really is a good channel. I've been subscribed since you had like. Dude, I think I've been subscribed since you had like a couple hundred subscribers.
I know, very early on.
Yeah, very, very early on. So please make sure you check out his channel.
Like I said, we go back for a very long time. We've been doing this shit for years.
Yeah, it's been for years. But I wasn't a douchebag like you and unsub to your channel. No matter how much I disagree with you, I didn't unsub to your channel. So I'll tell you, out of anything that we've talked about, I am a little salty.
You know why I did that? I'll just explain that. Still, it's because at one point, because of the way that we was doing, like every single video for months at one point, they were all just so negative, and I subscribed to you because you were always so positive. And then when the Switch started coming out, you became really positive again when you did the whole revamp thing with your ninjas and your villains and Patreon. Like you became a lot more serious, more research. Then seriously, you do more research than all the like outlets combined and shit. And that's why I came back, because the positivity was back again. Like I don't have that much time in my life. Like I don't need to sit here and listen to like people whine all the time. So when you did good shit again, I came back.
All right, I got you, man. I think I'm joking a little bit that when I said that you're, I'm salty. I wasn't like super bad, but I was just like, man, I still stay subscribed to your channel. Like, you didn't have to unsubscribe, bro. Like, but it's all good, man. But anyway, my daughter's back here. I'm gonna get some dinner. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to RetroDeath. Check out his channel. I'll put a link in the description as well. And thanks, RetroDeath, for coming on.
It was great fun. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't expecting it to be so much fun.
It was very, and that's why I try to do debates, because debates usually end up turning out this fun. They're actually really fun. They're not like us, like being all like angry and mad the whole time. They're actually really fun to debate. But anyway,
we're both just way too passionate. That's why you get that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I like debates, because they're so much more fun than doing like a standard like PE news video. Like these are way more fun because I can get to know the person, I can talk, and we can hear multiple points. We can go back and forth. But anyway, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. My daughter is bugging me to no end right now. So I will see you guys for the next one. If you missed some of this debate, it will be up. If enough people want, I'll split it up into parts if enough people ask for it. If not, then you guys can just watch the whole thing right here. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys for the next video. Peace.